Hello everyone and welcome to Final Boss, episode number 49 of your WoW Endgame rating show. I am your host, Adam K, aka Bay, and today we have a community spotlight / interview / drama time feature on Final Boss tonight. We are joined by the one and only Preach from PreachGaming to hopefully not destroy our chat room, but we'll see when we get there. But first, of course, the lovely co-host of FinalBossTV is here, and she was not slowing down the show today. That was my fault. There's Anna.
For once, it wasn't my fault. Hey, everybody. Nice to see you guys now.
There you are. Absolutely.
Yes, I'm all coffeed up. People were asking what I was drinking. There's no jar today, but I have been through pretty much an entire French press of coffee. So hopefully it's been enough to wake me up after this really long weekend, but I hope everyone else had as good a weekend as I had.
Well, I'm glad you're hyped up on coffee, because reading chat room today for questions for the after show is going to be your job, and good luck.
Yeah, I know. It's all right. I'm up to the challenge.
You're up to the challenge? Alrighty. And then joining us over the pond, possibly be careful here. Here it comes. But Mr. Preach himself. Hello, sir.
I'm just gonna smile.
Are you just?
Oh, ball isn't a big bro piece to you all. There you go.
There it is.
That's what we were expecting.
There's the pipe. There's the
Oh
pipe.
yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready. You're teaming up on me today. Usually two people here, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's a tag team effort coming on here.
It is. Anna does all the work. I just push buttons. Let's be real.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah,
my buddy with me. He's keeping me happy.
Yeah. You might have a special appearance of your little sidekick there sometime later, maybe, just possibly.
I don't know. He's not had a shave. It might be a bit much for this chat room. He's looking rather rustic.
Rather rustic. Oh boy.
Yeah, a little bit of a bag lady theme going on there.
Oh no.
Not appropriate for public consumption today.
Oh gosh. I don't know
Always
if
goes down smooth.
we might, maybe. I know, maybe later we'll get to that. But hello, sir. Great to have you on the show. It should be a little awesome.
Thanks, man.
time
Yeah,
here.
but it's been so long. We talked about this, 8 months ago?
Oh my gosh, really? I think I
So
talked to
it's
you.
like something like that. I don't even think I had a kid when we first discussed
No,
this.
I think we were talking in around Christmas, Thanksgiving time last year. And
No,
literally it was
something
just yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. Long time coming.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
But it's
glad
great to have you on the show. Awesome. And all of your people in chat are great. Look, I
Oh,
don't
look
even
at these guys. How
I
can you
know.
argue with those guys?
That's awesome.
Although a few of those names, don't trust them.
Oh, just a few of them?
Just a few of them.
Okay.
Well, I'll trust all the rest. Good to know.
Yeah, everyone else is fine.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Well, let's see real quick here. So the show's gonna be a little different. Usually our interview shows, like Anna and I put together, and the Final Boss crew put together notes and things that we want to talk about only. But we kind of felt that one of these and how we're going to do interviews in the future now is going to be more of, we have a couple of topics, we have a drama segment toward the end there. But we have tons of viewer questions. If you have additional viewer questions, of course, though, you can either send them in down there, the link below, which we'll get to in the after show, or you can tweet at FinalBossTV, or you can tweet at PreachGaming, I guess, because he can read them off as well. But we have a bunch of stuff to get through right now. So the next 90 minutes, and then the little bit after show after that, we've got tons of stuff to go through. But I think the first thing that Anna wants to ask is...
Oh, now I feel bad reading it off the notes here.
Oh, what? No.
I know who Preach is, but
Yeah.
but just tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do and why we should know who you are and why we should be following all of the awesome content that you produce.
Sounds so egotistical, doesn't it? Why should we care about you? Why should we care about you? Who are you?
Hype yourself up a little bit.
Right.
Tell me why all these people are in chat and they love you so much.
Right.
Yeah, YouTuber, that's my job. I do 3 different types of shows. One is guides for every single class for people who are like low to mid to get up to heroic really fast. I also do drama show, which is what we'll talk about later on. And I also do large scale videos that are like big sort of cinematic type things with a bit of comedy in, which looks at like the legacy of the game, because the game's been out for like 10 years. So we can look at things like the history of a warrior or what was vanilla really like, things like that. So those are like the 3 main core things that I do.
I see. Well, for any of the few people who would be watching right now who haven't seen your channel before, we'll make sure that we link to all of your content so that they can be seeing all that stuff.
Oh, of
Excellent.
course. Absolutely. It'll all be in the YouTube description box, of course. And later on in the show, we'll talk about it. Absolutely.
Now, did you play any games? You said that all of your content is WoW focused. Did you do any of this with games before WoW, or tell me a little bit
No.
about your gaming history?
Gaming history, in MMO terms or anything. How old school do we want to go?
You can go as old
We can
school
go.
as
We
you
can go
want.
old school. Okay, Commodore 64.
Oh,
Was definitely my
Dungeons and
first.
Dragons in the
first one.
basement.
Oh, rocking the RoboCop on cassette. That's how it all got started. And then obviously all the console stuff. I didn't get a PC till I was probably about 11, where we had to play Doom by not loading Windows because it took up all the memory. And then skipping ahead, first MMO was a game called Neocron, which was a very sort of hardcore, brutal MMO where if you died, you lost your gear. The guy who killed you took it. That kind of thing. Wouldn't go down too well in World of Warcraft at all. And then onto Warcraft reluctantly, because it looked really kiddie and childish. But all my friends, as everyone did, all my friends went to play it, and I was okay. Then we'll go and try it, and then we went from there.
A little peer pressure there.
A little bit. Now,
Well, I
Chatter
was
brings-
left on my own. I was the clan leader, but I had nobody to
see.
lead. I was desperately holding on to my rank.
You never played any of that Star Wars Galaxies back in the day there, Preacher Man?
I played Star Wars Galaxies for about a day.
Oh, no.
And I actually went to my brother got me into gaming because he's always been into IT. And he was playing every MMO in the world. So every week you would go around, it was a new MMO. I went around to watch Star Wars Galaxies, and he was leveling dancing, I think, in a bar. And I saw that and I went, yeah, that's not for me. I just left it alone, and that was about as far as I got in Galaxies.
No,
to
you
be
didn't want
honest.
to dance at an MMO? No? You didn't want to?
No, he said I'm learning to be a Jedi, and he's dancing on a table like something from Goldshire. I was like, nah, not
Yeah.
really.
Well,
But I've played a
Neocron,
lot of
that's-
MMOs.
That's a different first MMO than I think we've heard on here before. I know we've
Yeah.
heard.
It was
we've
extremely
heard plenty of
niche.
other
Like I say,
things.
if you needed new armor, let's say you needed a new, I don't know, heroic Hellscream axe, you wouldn't go and kill him. You'd just find somebody who had it and hunt them to death. And you could also if they were AFK, to give you an idea of how it was like, if you went AFK like in Ogrimmar, we could resurrect you against your will and keep killing you until we got all of your items.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that used to
Wow.
happen quite a lot. So a very niche game.
And you said you were a clan leader in this game.
I was, yeah. We controlled a lot. You controlled a lot of the map. It was a very power trip game because people had to ask you to be able to teleport to your part of the map. Like, please, can we come there? And no.
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah. It was brutal. Absolutely
Nice.
brutal.
So you like controlled sections of the map?
Yeah. You literally took over outposts, and that was your part of the map. You had your color on it, so you could take over Nagrand or all of Draenor if you wanted to, and say you cannot teleport there. The portal won't work for you. Ha.
I wonder if there are any PvP servers that are kind of like that in WoW. That there are like
Absolutely not.
pieces of the map that are completely.
And you could talk to the enemy, which was the best.
Oh,
Talk
that's
to the
nice.
enemy. Yeah.
Oh.
So you could take all their gear and then troll them endlessly. It was a hell of a game.
That sounds fantastic.
I was
Yeah.
really
Definitely.
sad when it died.
Definitely the kind of game that can really sort of let you discover what it is that you like best in the game. Maybe it's playing with friends and leading people and
You
killing
can
other
see
people
why I
and
didn't want
taking
to
all
go
their
to
gear.
WoW. That was the world
Yeah.
I was used to. And then it was WoW. It's like, you don't lose gear. Everything's fine and nice, and you'll get your gear from PvE. There was no PvE in the game, essentially, so it just looks so kiddie. And then I found out that PvE was actually something I loved more than anything. So,
That's crazy.
yeah, it was good.
So I guess then what got you after you started playing World of Warcraft? Like what got you like into like caring more about the game and actually making it like your main game? You've played it now for I would assume since launch, so going on like 9 years now, right? So like what kept you going?
I played it since vanilla beta. I was in the beta.
Right.
We got access to that. I would say it was a combination of things. One, I played a priest, which meant I was God amongst the server. You could walk into any guild and take anybody with you. It's like, I want to recruit you. And I would say, okay, but you can take me and 6 people. And the guild would be forced to do that. I was good at being a priest. Or so I thought. In terms of vanilla terms, I thought I was a good priest, and that gave me. I was also like really young and stupid, so I had like an ego trip about that as well. So once I felt really cool about myself, I stuck into the game for a long time.
Wow, that's pretty nuts. I'm fixing
Yeah.
something real quick here. There we go. Alrighty.
I see. So how did you actually get into raiding, though, from going from not being that excited about the game to being
Yeah.
the class that every guild wanted to take?
I was gripped from I forget the name of the instance now. It's the one near Lordaeron. Shadowfang Keep.
Oh, okay. I think that's up there
And
with the Warden.
Yeah, Shadowfang Keep, because I played it with friends. We did it 5 or 6 levels below what you were supposed to do. It took us an hour to kill that last guy who teleports around the room. I forget his name.
Man. Been a
But
little
when
while.
he went down and we were actually learning the mechanics and positioning and how we can reduce cooldowns in a certain way, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever done in any video game ever. Because we even cheered for that moment because we should never have been able to kill that boss. And we did. And that was that feeling. That was it then. PV forever. And got into Molten Core, became class leader straight away, and then raid leader, then killed the guild and made a guy cry, and then went on to do other things. It was all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think maybe talking about Dark Master Gandling, possibly.
Is it gambling in
That's Shadowfang Keep.
Sholomans? Is it Shadow? I thought it was Sholomans.
I thought it was I'm maybe mixing up people. Right now, it's
I can't remember.
It's a different
I know
guy
he teleported
now.
around onto. We had people positioned on the
Yeah.
edges of all sorts of stuff. Any little environmental thing we could find, people were stood up there. I think we had the worst setup ever, like 2 warriors, a warlock, and a mage or something.
Yeah, Gandling is Sholoman. So who was the old guy? Because now it's a new guy with like the gun blazer.
Yeah, he does that gun thing.
What the hell is that? Oh, Arugal. Arugal. There you go. Arugal. Oh, snap. Chat room got us. Nice.
Oh, they're the best. I forget the name of zones all the time, and
Nice.
that obviously means I'm terrible at the game.
There we go.
So they like to remind me.
There you go. That's why we couldn't remember his name. He's old school. Old school. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about your raiding history then. So I'm told that you raided in Method for a time.
I was in Method twice. I was a top world raider for near enough every expansion, except for this one. I decided to not raid Mr. Pandaria. We tested. I was still in Method when we did the beta testing of the mock bosses. It was great, but I was a warrior. I really didn't like what they'd done to it, and I didn't want to re-roll. And also, I just started to take off in YouTube, and there was a possibility of going full-time, and I was really excited about it and passionate about it. And then I thought to myself, there will always be more raid bosses. I can take a break. There's going to be so many more raid bosses that it's fine for me to take a break. So that's when I did that through all Mr. Pandaria. But before that, it was Cataclysm. There was a guild called Darkstorm. I think they finished around World 30th at the time. I was World 13th at the beginning of Cataclysm for the first tier. I was always top 50 throughout the game up until Mr. Pandaria, when I just thought I'd take a break and work on this. I got multiple world firsts, but DPS, which was my greatest achievement. I was hoping for the world first kill, never got that and kind of gave up on it, but I got lots of world first DPS charts, those were really great moments during progression as well, before all the cheesing sets in. You know,
all the
it's
padding.
easy to get them later on, where it's like nobody else say a we here, right? So I got them, and that was pretty much my peak, and I was happy with that as well.
Yeah. Sounds like a great moment. Lots of great moments, actually.
Loads, and that's what that was the whole purpose of my channel, was to get people to experience that, because I was like, you guys need to feel what I felt there, and that was the point.
Yeah, and people would always argue that as the game has gone on, certain abilities and certain fights and stuff like that have gotten a lot easier than how it used to be. But the counter argument to that is always that we were just bad back in the day.
Vanilla's horrible.
I definitely think that we were just bad.
We were just bad.
Back and done some of those.
Oh, absolutely.
Some of those
How many
games.
times do you hear of your guild going, oh, I wish that Blab Joey Seven Fingers had come back, because he rocked in vanilla, man. He was amazing. And then those guys come back and they just they don't know what the hell's going on. They can't handle it at all. The game is far too complex now for them. And LFR is actually reasonably difficult. If you put a group of those guys in an LFR, they would probably wipe consistently. Totally.
What was the original eyeball boss? The name just flew right out of my head with the beam. Cthulhu. I went back and did Cthulhu with a group of 60s, and it's not really the same now because 60 is very different. But when we were doing the fight, everybody who was in Vent, who was like old school vanilla raiders, were saying, man, did they slow the beam down? Is the beam slower now? Because this is so easy to dodge. And then they went back and looked, and one of them said a couple days later, nope, that was how slow the beam was. We were just that bad.
Yeah, we were just that, but that was really complex at the
terrible.
time. Those videos of Cthulhu wiping raids, that was so inspiring to go and kill that guy.
Yep.
But if those mechanics existed today, we would laugh. Like Ragnaros, really? Oh no, he fireballs someone every 20 seconds. What a bummer.
Yeah.
And then there's
puts a debuff on the tank.
Oh god, we have to tank swap here. This is crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy
It's just
mechanics.
a different time back then, and I can't imagine
it's
what
fun.
it was like to experience all of that, because I didn't start reading until much later. So it's great to hear your stories.
Yeah, I never agree with the games got easy. I always hear that from people who play it on its easiest setting.
Yeah, we've just gotten better.
It's very easy.
Oh yeah, I did LFR. Man, the game is so much easier now.
Well, I deal with that
man.
a lot. I get a lot of those guys who's like, well, I did LFR and I killed Hellscream. What the hell should I raid for? Because it sounds awful. Raiding sounds horrible to a guy who's never had to do it. It's like, I've got to be on at a set time. I've got to make an application. But
It's
I
like
can
a
queue
job.
LFR now.
Yeah.
What the hell are you talking about? And I still kill the boss. It's like, yeah, but the feeling. And they're going, what feeling? Shut up, you noob. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we've just gotten better at the game and the MMOs in general now. So like developers have to like create new things. Like if we had like the dungeon journal worth of abilities on old bosses back in vanilla, people would have never played the game. Like, what the hell is
Also be
this?
2 lines. Can you imagine the dungeon
like, I
journal
gotta
for
do
Alexia? It'd be ridiculous. It's
Breathes
like, ring
fire,
fire,
summons whelps.
and with these whelps and stuff. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you talked a little bit earlier about the way that you wanted to make videos to share that feeling of killing the boss and raiding and that epic
Right.
PvE feeling with people. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you got into making content, like for YouTube, and
Yeah,
how it
the
transitioned
first-
into that?
The first video I ever made was a PvP video with, I think it probably had Disturbed and Linkin Park in there for good measure.
Of course.
Of course.
It went reasonably viral. It was like 500,000 views or something, and I was like, cool, people really... And the only reason it went that way is because me and this handsome chap next to me actually just voice-overed it, because it was really long. It was like 45 minutes long.
Oh.
So we said, we can't release this with just Disturbed and Linkin Park. It's not going to carry it enough. So we just talked over it and had a few beers, and it did really well. So I was like, I really enjoyed making that as well. And then I was always a multi-classer. Every guild I've been in, I was that player where it was like, we need this class. Let's ask Mike. Mike might do it for us, because I was always able to pick up a class and play it at a reasonably end game level very, very quickly. So I had to re-roll a lot, never really out of choice. And then I started looking at guides, and every guide at the time, this was like a year and a half ago when I started, was a guy stood in front of a training dummy like on a road going, get 5 combo points, press slice and dice, get 5 combo points, press eviscerate, and you will win the game. And I was like, this is terrible. This is really, really bad. But nobody was talking about positioning, how to move while DPSing, how to like shuffle move, as casters will know about, to get back into position at the right time. They weren't talking about looking at what mobs do, so you can think about purging, master spelling, and do all these things that a group of average players will never know you did, ever. But you've made that run successful. You've actually done so much in that run, though you will never know, and that's cool. That's all right. And that's how you'll get spotted to be a good player. That's how you're going to get to do it. And nobody was talking about that kind of stuff. So that's what I started doing my guides on. I'd go into a dungeon and I'd play a class and I'd be like, this is how you utilize this class to its max. Not just DPS it, and you'll still probably win if you just DPS or heal. But look at all the extra stuff you can actually do, which is people are going to notice that. Good players will notice, and you'll get into guilds. And that's kind of the idea I had behind it.
And now, how long ago was this when you started putting that content online?
I want to say 18 months. I want to say that. It might even be a little bit longer now. I don't know. It could be. But it's around that time period. It was around patch 5.4, Cataclysm, around then.
Got it. Okay.
Oh wow. Okay. So that's almost over 2 years now.
Yeah,
Easily.
a long time.
Yeah.
It takes a while to build up in this, so you can go full steam. It took a year, I think, before we could go full time.
Oh well, yeah. We just crested, like I was talking to you about in the pre-show setup. I mean, we just crested our first year just recently on the show. So it's been a wild ride. So I totally understand that. And of course, YouTube content creation is a little bit different than like just going forward with a show. So absolutely.
Yeah, it was really crazy.
Yeah.
I'm out of sync, apparently. Can we fix that?
No, you look fine from my end. I don't know. That could be people. That could just be people with people saying 4.3, 4.4, 5.4 Cataclysm. Yeah. So yeah.
You see, this is what I always fall down on.
Yeah.
I have an army of probably 60,000 people
60,000.
who watch my videos to wait for me to make a mistake, and then like, you suck. You are so bad at this game. It's unbelievable. The classic one we have is I made a Frost Mage video, and this is the one we always use, and it was using Rune of Power, and I was talking about how bad Rune of Power is. So this thing is terrible. And I was just doing a 5-man dungeon, and about 4 minutes in, I didn't drop Rune of Power for about 2 seconds. This guy wrote this enormous essay about how I was teaching people Rune of Power was unimportant because at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, you did not stand in it. And I was like, crazy. And it's exploded since then. They look for it everywhere.
Wow. No, we get that all the time. The final boss thing is that everyone wants to always nitpick what Anna says on the show.
Oh, are you under the fire?
Yeah.
You pour a coffee?
Always. Yeah, very much so. And that's generally the things that I say. The things that they say get a pass, but the things that I say definitely get nitpicked.
Yeah, I
Yeah, set the wrong patch. Clearly not done some well.
Nope. Yeah, Noble's in chat right now. I'm sure he knows about YouTube comments as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's the best. I don't mind. It never really bothers me.
Yeah, whatever.
So
It's always good to have like a mix of different responses too, because if
Right.
all of the
sometimes there's good
responses
info
are
in there, despite the rage.
Sometimes.
Sometimes it's a nugget of truth. To be
I think-
Yeah,
inside.
definitely.
I think Anna and I didn't know we were doing something right in the community until we both had personal in-game emails from people.
Yeah, that was the
so
best.
it was official
In-game-
then.
Yeah,
In-game
then you
mail
know you're
for
doing
coffee?
something.
Yeah, that's
One of them
absolutely.
sent it to me twice, actually.
Twice. Gotta make
We
sure.
love it. My guys know all about the in-game mails and how
Yeah.
serious they are. Next is the Facebook, and then you know you're in trouble.
Oh, if they find your Facebook? Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's fair. It's
Gotta
whatever.
let that stuff roll off.
So now, talking about a little bit of drama here, you have an interesting show, I should say, on Twitch here.
Yep.
What exactly is your Drama Fridays?
Well, you guys have played for a while, right? I know you
What?
played since Vanilla Bay.
Beta 4, yeah?
And Anna, you played for a long time too?
I've had
Oh,
the
here
game
we go.
I've had the game since I
Aw.
call myself a Wrath baby, and I'm happy to have that label because I started raiding in Wrath, but I have owned the game and logged in since vanilla, so I've played the game for a long time. Yeah, Wrath baby.
Well, as you will know then,
Right.
people in MMOs are absolutely nuts. They're
Little bit.
crazy. And they do the
Yes.
craziest things in the universe. And sometimes we do that. I was horrible. Like I said, I've killed guilds. I've made people cry.
I
I've
think we've all done that, I think.
yeah, rage quit
I
the
don't
game.
know if I have. Maybe
No,
you guys
I-
are just mean. Anyway.
Well, I was very mean. I killed a guild knowing I wasn't going to stay in it. I got the guild master to quit and cry. And I took
Right.
over and then left the guild a week later. I did all that stuff. It was brilliant. And then I told the guys about it and they loved it. And I was like, we all have these stories of maximum drama where somebody did something completely insane. And only the anonymity of the internet will make that happen. So we retell those stories and we have twists on it and stuff. It's that's generally the idea.
So how do you find enough content to keep doing that? Do you get them submitted to you? Do you dig back into your history bag? Like, how do you keep finding stories to go over every Friday? Or
I
every
get on
other
average
Friday, sorry.
15 to 20 stories a week.
Really? Oh,
There's
wow.
plenty of drama in World of Warcraft.
Oh, okay.
I have to say, because I'm going to admit that I haven't actually seen this drama show. Is it that people submit to you their stories of drama, or do you
Yes.
and just tell your stories of drama and have this
I've
many
told my
stories
stories.
to tell?
I've done those. I've
Okay.
admitted everything because I was like the horrible guild master you could probably get now, but I changed. I changed. So it was just like if you see these warning signs, then you probably have a really horrible guild master. But people send me just sit down and write a story and send it in to me via email. I read through them all and then I pick 2 or 3 and then we'll read them out on a Friday.
Wow.
This stuff is like a
Yeah.
train wreck. It's always so fascinating to me to see because I've been very lucky in my guilds. I guess maybe I've been really careful in the ones that I've joined. Like I've definitely never joined any guilds where I thought people were going to be like emotional or go like crazy because I'm a girl or something. So I've joined like guilds full of mature adults who don't really do any of this drama stuff, but I hear other people's stories of all of these crazy things that happen and it just blows my mind. I'll have to
Yep.
catch that at some point.
It's insane how far some people go. It's really crazy. But it's good fun because you can look back at it and laugh. That you used to be like that. So I'm not proud of those things that I did, but at all. But as soon as I got older, I was like, wow, I was a really bad person there. But so we should talk about it. Let's not try and hide it. Let's talk about it and
Yeah.
get it. And then we've had a lot of people coming forward and say, I've been doing those things. I didn't realize how much of an ass I was. So thank you for telling that story. So it's worked out well for everybody, really.
That's interesting too, and it's cool that it's like I've never heard of anyone else doing that sort of like retelling and almost history romp with this whole like side of things. So when I originally found out about you, now shortly after the show was formed, that I thought, everyone kind of has to find their place, like what Final Boss has found and what Novel has found and what the Fat Boss guys have found, like all these different little places to go, like Silver Latomi, all the music she does. So you definitely found like your place in the community for this because I don't think anyone else does this.
I know
As far as
WoW
I know.
Insider had that column called Drama Mamas, but that was
Oh.
a little bit different. That was people who would write in for advice, but they would half the time they would just get mocked by the people writing the column. But that's very different because it's like an advice column, like talking about stuff going wrong. Just telling stories of things that have gone wrong that sounds really awesome. I'll have to.
Well, I'd
catch
say
it.
the originator was Wowbash. and I miss WoW Bash immensely. Every time
Oh.
I used to check WoW Bash all the time because it really made me laugh that people were like that. And you're like, I can't believe that occurred. And WoW Bash used to make me happy. I think it kind of stopped a long time ago. And the next evolution of that with streaming and stuff was to actually talk about these stories in detail and stuff.
Now, how about you have something on the extra that you do, apparently. You have props and cosplay and stuff. You have your little prop box and whatnot. Like, what is
I
this
don't.
for? You
I
don't. Oh,
This guy does.
This guy.
This guy loves his props.
What is
He's
that part
passing
of
the
the
blame.
We have a prop box. Is what
Yes.
we have. These are for the bigger videos, like the legacy videos.
Uh-huh.
Because we do live action stuff mixed in with that.
Yes,
So we've
I've
ended
actually
up with
caught
things
some
like-
of these. That's why I was, yeah.
Mad Hatter hats and. Don't ask about this one. That was for an entirely different video, wasn't it?
Oh.
Stop touching my things!
The wrestling masks. But there's always been a purpose for them. This is one of the props we made for the latest video we're doing. You see, we even got old school and did the coffee staining and the burning. But do you recognize that? I don't know if you can see it on the screen.
Is it like a flow chart of like a rating flow chart or something?
Oh,
what is that?
come on. The pros know what this is. You should know, Bay. That was the TBC achievement guide. That was what you needed to do if you wanted to raid in the Burning Crusade.
Oh, wow.
That's
Oh, really?
everything
And
you
it's
needed
all
to do.
burnt up.
Well,
Well, we've done a scene. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a scene where we just rediscover it.
oh, okay.
So-
They olded it. That's all effective.
We all did it. That's a wonderful combination of coffee and fire. It's beautiful.
Coffee and fire. That's awesome. That's cool.
I can't tell if chat beat us to identifying that or if
I'm
they're
not
just
sure
saying
either.
it now that it's been identified on the
Right.
show.
I'm not sure.
I'm sure most of them know what that is. We talked about it a number of times. But as
That's
I'm
fantastic.
working on a big video about the Burning Crusade and what it was really
Oh.
like. Because everyone just goes, even if they never played it, Burning Crusade was amazing. Shard Halls was the best instance I ever did in my entire life.
Oh,
and you
yeah,
never-
the
you know, they never
rose-colored
played it.
glasses.
Oh yeah, the rose tinted goggles is one of the big things we try and crush. It's like we go back. What was it really like? Why did I have to use 18 potions every single pull, and it cost me 1,000 gold if we wiped or someone ninja?
Oh
pulled?
my god, yes.
People forget that. They forget the truth that was going on.
Yes.
So we're making a video on that. We've been doing that for about a month now. It should be due to come out soon.
Oh, cool.
TM before everybody
TM.
kills me because
Soon
they've been
TM.
waiting a while.
Right.
Excellent.
Very cool. So that actually brings us right into the next little part here because you're working on that kind of stuff. So what do you guys have for Preach Gaming in the future? Like, what are your plans going into Warlords and stuff?
Warlords was always 50-50 for me. I've got to admit, not raid. I only play WoW to raid. That is the only reason I play. I've never cared about gear. I've never played about reputations or anything like that. So giving up on raiding to focus on my channel meant that I did a lot of LFR to do class guides on every single spec and class in the game.
Oh, you
all
poor
that-
soul.
Exactly, and I was just constantly bored. So I said to the guys, like, look, I'm feeling pretty tired of World of Warcraft right now because I only play to raid, and it's the only thing I haven't done. So I was 50-50 on what I was going to do for Warlords, and we started introducing new games to the channel, which actually did really well. We were always going to be doing that. The bigger videos are really, really popular. We want to do more of those. We want to get a little more equipment to go outside and film stuff, and probably move away from guides. But WOD's looking so good that I'm happy to do the guides. I can already say to do the guides and stuff this time round. So I'm happy to do that. But that will be going away as soon as I feel it's no longer necessary. Because I've done like 300 guides now. Some of them
Wow, yeah.
haven't really changed much. So it's like 5 enhancement shaman guides where it's like, okay, they changed lightning shield or something. It's like, how many times can you do that? I was getting very tired of doing it, but at the moment I'm feeling the urge to do it for WOD because I'm really enjoying the game.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I'm actually, like I talked about before, and if those have watched the live stream of that I do on Final Bosses, that we're going through all the classes right now with level 100 talents. And you and I got into a little bit last night. Did you actually make the Blood DK video? Did you start working on
Yes,
that
I
yet?
did.
You
I
did?
did it this morning, and I did it this morning,
Yes.
and I got a clip you'll find particularly interesting. Is I did
Oh.
the boss where the entire group died while the boss was 60%, and I ignored all the game mechanics, so it got increasingly more dangerous. I was
Sure.
still fine.
You still fine?
I was still fine. And the defense in the video comments already, it's like, this is fine. I don't see the problem with this.
Yeah.
And I think you play a Blood DK. I really think you play a Blood DK to look at that and go, that's fine. No problems there.
Like, yep, they're good. They don't need any changes. Just leave them right
Yeah,
there.
it's perfectly balanced. It's perfectly fine to never die. And to the point where my health bar bugged. I told you last night that happened.
Right.
I was playing I was doing something with my Blood DK where it bugged and it just would not go below 100%. No matter what happened to me, I was 100% health all the time.
So then, going into Warlords, you're gonna still keep up with the Drama Friday stuff. I'm sure there'll be plenty of new. New
I mean, I've
blood
got a
for that.
choice. I'm lucky because of my raiding history. I'm lucky that I have a choice of several guilds to join because I'm not actually in a raiding guild right now.
Oh.
So I've got a choice of several guilds to join, and it's all with the understanding that there will be times I can't raid. I'm not interested in the world first race anymore at all. I'm not prepared to do it. So I'm looking to a guild and saying, look, I can raid probably 3 out of 5, and I want that to be the progression stuff because farm raiding, I don't like it. I don't care. I don't want to do it. So if that's fine with them, that's okay with me. And then they're all pretty understanding about that. So I can keep up with my work and stuff.
That's awesome. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit right here because we actually have a question that prefaced the Celestalon just asked us in chat, but we have a question that was actually
is he
already
here?
put
Can I
to...
apologize to him?
He's here.
Did you apologize?
Can I apologize to you,
What'd you do to
Celestalon?
Chad? What'd you do?
Well, we sent just a rant. I was streaming and we were mocking Seraphim for Paladins because it didn't increase the best stat in the game. That's right, sturdiness. And and I said, I'll tweet Celestalon and see if his Seraphim will increase sturdiness. And then my chat, I think they retweeted it about 160 times. So apologies, because the only reply he gave me was no. And it seemed like a mean no. Like, just don't ask me that again.
Oh, poor Sparkle Dragon. So yeah, we have a question here. It is number... Let me go for it. It's number 7. So we'll just jump into the Q&A, I guess, here.
You put some of these questions in tiny little text because they're very long.
Yes,
a lot of enthusiastic question askers for this show.
So Cursed Arrow on Twitter asked, what are your thoughts on Warrior in beta currently and the proposed changes coming next build?
Well, Warrior is horrible right now. I think that's universally agreed, right? We don't need to really go into depth there. It's weird because it didn't expect the Warrior to get that many changes, and then it got hammered into the ground realistically compared to other classes. The proposed changes I've read through fine-tooth comb, and I don't really want to say what it's like until I play it. I don't care until I play it.
Of course.
Everything could look good on paper. Hell, the Deathwing fight looked good on paper, right? But we all did that. So I don't want to say this looks good, looks bad until I play it. The words don't mean a lot until I actually get involved with it. It looks interesting. I want to see it. I'm surprised people are. I mean, to give an idea of how people feel about the Warrior right now who are playing it, they're excited to have Rend back instead of Deep Wounds, and I find that absolutely insane. That people are going Rend's back. Thank God. And I'm like, really? Really? People are excited about Rend back? That is insane.
Maybe
It's
the bar is
craziest
low.
thing I've ever heard. So I'm with the Warrior. It's in such a weird place right now that I need to play it. I've leveled. I mean, to give you my idea of experience that I did with the Warrior on beta, I leveled it to 92 twice. I played 100 for a long, long time, and each time I was like, this just feels wrong. And that's often the way it feels in beta. It's like, I get how this works. That's fine, but it just feels wrong. It feels boring. The same way with the Blood DK. I'm super powerful on the Blood DK right now. I'm bored. It feels wrong. I don't like it. And that's generally the kind of feedback I always give.
Yeah.
I know something's wrong and put my finger on it. And with the Warrior, it just felt wrong. And that was it felt like something was really missing. It didn't feel like a Warrior. Like removal of bleeds was such a weird decision. I've seen Game of Thrones. If you have a two-handed sword, people bleed. I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah. But that was removed from the game. And I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on here. Why is this happening? So I'll wait and see. I want to play it extensively when it comes out. But until then, we'll have to just wait. And why? Oh, Celestalon's here. Why is Wild Strike in the game? And why does it have that sound effect? I would love to know. I genuinely want to know who decided that sound effect.
Because like I said earlier, I've done all the classes at 90 before the 100s were unlocked. So going from a totally noob on all these classes and looking at them before some of them have changed since then. I felt that Warrior before these new changes actually felt kind of okay. Like Fury had buttons and Arms had buttons, and I was like, all right, there are buttons to hit, and that's fine. But then now it's changed so much that on the way back through now doing 100 talents, I'm doing Warrior last because I want to wait and see. Hopefully they get updates and stuff like that, and that gets pushed out to the beta because it's so different now apparently. And we had Archim Tyros, one of the Sentry Totem writers for Warriors, and his whole theory crafting back end with all the different Warriors there too, talking about it. And he actually went to Blizzard recently and talked to the devs, and he was just like, "What are you doing? What are you doing to Warrior?"
Yeah, it's just the question we've all asked. It just felt wrong. There's no other way to describe it. When you're playing it, it's like, this isn't right. There's something seriously wrong here.
No, I think, to preface again, too, this is Arms and Fury, not Prot. Prot feels like Prot Warrior still.
Yeah, prop feels fine actually.
Right.
The only thing I noticed on my prop warrior is I had enough rage to keep my active mitigation up all the time. But
All the
that was something that could be rebalanced, or unless it's intended, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
But,
you could keep up barrier like all the time almost, basically.
I had barrier, shield block, barrier, shield block. There was no
Yeah.
downtime on either of them, so that felt odd.
Right.
I mean, no, not very intuitive because you could just do it all the time regardless. But yeah, prop was prop. I've played prop for 6 years or something, so it's always come second nature. But I'm coming from a point where I didn't really enjoy the warrior in MUP at all. It was I was really sad about how warriors had become because they didn't feel meaty and powerful and brutal, which is why I roll a warrior. I want to feel that way. I want to feel like the warrior that smashes faces. But then, interestingly enough, in the current beta, arms hits really hard and they feel brutal, but there's nothing to do. And so
Yeah,
it's finding that right balance is
Yep,
incredibly
yep.
hard.
That's what I was actually just told, that the downtime in the current build is like 50% downtime. You're just waiting around. And the new stuff with the new slam changes looks like it'll be like 20 to 30% downtime. So it feels good when you hit things, but you're just not hitting things that often. So
Yeah, I don't like looking at my bar all grayed out. Nobody does. And that's why it
Sure.
switched. One of my worst classes, and my audience will know this, is that I really disliked for a long time was enhancement shaman. I felt they were too fiddly. There was a lot going on that was other people didn't have to deal with because I like looking at the encounter and seeing what the raid is doing. That's how I like to play. But I could see why people like a more fidgety spec that's more involved. And now with the speed that the enhancement has kept, because it still has pretty much everything. It's one of my favorite ones because there's no downtime. It's just interesting and keeps going and keeps doing stuff.
yeah.
And I had a complete switch of mind because of the way everything seems to have slowed down. And that's one of the things that's interesting.
Yeah. Anna, if you don't know enhancement, which is what I made, and as a rep paladin, we have Sanctity of Battle now, basically, where haste reduces the GCD of some of our abilities.
Yeah, I saw
So we're both in that same sort of like long priority list of like a button every GCD playstyle, which can be fun. You have something to do every GCD, right? You have decisions to make. Sure.
Yeah,
based on
exactly.
that.
And they're
That's-
good decisions.
Yeah. I think at later gear levels, we'll have to see, though, if we're literally losing DPS because we're hitting buttons when we can't hit other buttons that are also off cooldown. We'll have to see how that works. Right now, we don't know because we only have the 100 PvP gear and there's not a whole lot of haste. So we'll have to see.
I mean, we don't know how the stats are going to play out, which is why I
Correct,
always
exactly.
preface my videos saying this isn't PvE gear, or it's either level 92 in really low gear. Let's be facts, the stuff that drops in the first zones is really low item level, and the other stuff's PvP gear. So we don't know how it's going to play out. There's not enough sturdiness on this gear to really get a good decision going, and we need to bear that in
Not
mind.
enough sturdiness.
No,
Needs
there's
more
not enough
sturdiness.
sturdiness.
Need more
Absolutely.
sturdiness. Absolutely.
Or I'm not inviting you to my flex group. So simple as that.
Wow.
Well, the chat went a little crazy, but I would like to just reiterate something that was in there. Celestalon said that they hear the feedback on Wild Strike's sound effect, and they'll look into other options.
To be fair, the way beta's been treated in reaction to class changes has been amazing this time round. It was
Absolutely.
totally different to Mr. Pandera's beta, where it felt like we were talking to nobody. But it was nice to see even things like the Frost Firebolt change took a week, and that was changed back. And that kind of reaction is awesome. So cool.
Yeah, it's such a different kind of game now than even it was in the beta for the last expansion, with the developers all pretty much collectively being a lot louder on social media and more vocal in the forums to respond to things. I loved Watcher's 4 a.m. post on Warriors that he made, I think it was last week.
The
And
rage
it was-
one? Yeah.
And it was it wasn't really ragey, although it was
It was about rage.
Yeah,
That's what I meant.
about rage.
Yes.
And it was so long that he had to make a second post to maintain within the character limit. It was just a really solid post worth reading about the way rotations work in general. And that's the kind of post that I just don't think that we saw a lot, and the kind of response that I don't think we saw.
No,
a lot.
I remember a good example was Mop. Is it Garrelon? Is that the spider guy who crawls around? We gave feedback that some classes are flat out broke on this boss, and we said it repeatedly. It's like they're just completely broken. There's no way this is working, and it went live like that. And I do not see that happening with the reaction we're getting in WoD, which is so much better. But we did have the annual pass, didn't we, where everybody was in Mop probably giving
It was like
feedback.
1.8 million people or some ridiculous
Yeah,
thing like
exactly.
that.
How can you sift through that stuff?
Yeah, right now it's so much more focused testing, and I think they learned that huge beta in Mist was like, oh no.
Yeah, this is really bad. What
Yeah.
a bad decision. Diablo 3 should be enough. Release that expansion quick.
Whoops. Yeah.
But they're definitely hearing. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to respond to everything.
Oh, absolutely.
I
I don't expect anything like that.
But I just thought it was really funny. I think at one point in his post he said, after you've seen the latest round of changes, update your petition websites accordingly. And I was
Yeah,
they've
Oh,
definitely
heroicstrike.org?
they've definitely seen heroicstrike.org.
I want
Yep.
ren.org after the celebrations
Ren.org.
I saw.
Yeah. We need some Warforged.org. Can we get into that? Let's remove Warforged gear from the game. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
That's
You're
my
a little
addition to
peeved.
that.
You're a little peeved about that.
I
Are we
think
talking about it?
Well, we will later, I think, a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I want to get into more questions, though.
Okay.
More question time. Next one comes in from Tarifi, or no, Tefiri, sorry, wrong name. I read it backwards or whatever. So on US Caligos says, I'm new to streaming in YouTube and would like to make some class guide videos for my guild. Is there any advice you could give me?
I'm reading the questionnaire. He's trying to stream on YouTube at the same time, I think. Well, it's a two-part question for me. One, do YouTube videos and don't stream. It depends what you want to get out of it. If you're streaming, should just be for fun, because it's almost impossible to get discovered on Twitch in any relevant way, if that's what you're aiming for. YouTube videos, you're out there all the time, even when you're asleep, which is far easier. If you're doing videos for your Facebook, for your guild specifically, then you know what level they're at. If you're looking at guides for everybody, you have to decide, who are you talking to here? Who are you going to be doing? That was the hardest thing I had to learn about class guides, is exactly who am I talking to? Am I talking to people who don't know what a global cooldown is, or am I talking to people who can snapshot dots properly? That's what you really need to aim at and focus your information on.
I still have to answer when we're talking about dot snapshotting being removed when I'm going through the level 100 stuff. Like, people still ask me, like, what is snapshotting? So it's a real thing people don't know. So yeah, absolutely.
Interestingly enough, we had a show called The Workshop, which is people would send me footage of them playing. I would review it extensively and find ways of improving.
Ooh.
And there's a lot of people who've sent me stuff of killing the latest heroic boss, be it Throne of Thunder or whatever.
Sure.
And they'd be very top players. And let's say a Warlock sent me a video and he's got top world rankings, looking for little ways to improve to try and get that #1 spot. And what we'd notice is, despite the fact that they're in these top worlds, they're still doing it wrong.
Right.
Although they believe they're doing it correctly. It's like, no, you're actually snapshotting wrong. A lot of people think they understand snapshotting, but to get it right, that's really, really hard, extremely difficult, and you have to keep learning and doing it right. So it's one of those things. I think a lot of people think they knew what they were doing with it, and I can tell you that it doesn't matter how high up you were, a lot of people are still doing it wrong, or not to its potential, I should say.
No, absolutely.
I'm quite glad it's gone, because it's not something that the average player should have to deal with.
Although
as a player, I like it because I can do it. So it's like I can do more damage than you because I know what I'm doing.
Only on that little bit before we move on to the next question. Only certain classes still have snapshotting, and it's sort of like, if you play that class, you'll understand that those sort of things still work for certain parts of your spec, for the most part. Otherwise, how dots work is that, if I'm not misquoting this, is that every time a dot ticks, it looks at your character paper doll and factors in all the effects that could affect it. Your spell power, attack power, haste, or multi-strike, all that stuff happens every time it ticks, right?
So it's all your external buffs.
Correct.
Okay, so your trinkets and stuff that will take into account every time the dot ticks.
Yep.
But if it's an actual class buff, so a Moonkid's a really good example here. If you use a Moonfire before you reach that eclipse, because the way it's working now, you start using lunar spells just after you come out of solar. So if you do a Moonfire just after you come out of solar, but before you reach actual lunar eclipse, that Moonfire will take into account procs and stuff, but it'll still be at its base form weak.
Correct.
Until you hit that real top-end lunar. Then it will be powerful and still take into it. So that's how it seems to be working for me right now, anyway.
Yeah, no, it feels a lot smoother, and I think people are like, well, it removes a lot of the skill ceiling that you have with players, but not for certain classes. It's still there. It's just easier on everything else. It's just smoother overall, and it feels more rewarding for actually just doing your rotation properly, instead of like staring at add-ons telling you when to do, what to play, and what to spec, and what to hit, and whatever like that. So,
well, the challenge for Affliction is supposed to be keeping your dots up, right?
Yeah,
That's the challenge there. It's not supposed to be like, I've got my dots up, but now I need to do this.
Yeah.
I totally understand where they're coming from with the change, because that's what you're teaching a player. It's like, you should keep all these dots up and keep Agony ticking at 10 or whatever. That's your challenge of this class. It's not to do that and then 10 times more things. Mm-hmm. So I like it. I know a lot of people who are top-end players are like, well, I don't like that because I was dominating doing that. But, you can see the difference there and the level of play.
I think it'll help you actually be able to like pay attention and actually like enjoy raiding, because you can actually just play your class besides playing your UI.
Oh yeah, big time. That's why I like reasonably simple classes.
Sure.
Not because I can't do the hard ones, but because I just want to watch the fight. I like it. I think some of the fights look spectacular, and I want to enjoy that while I'm raiding it.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually another reason why I brought up the Watcher post that was made on the forums the other day, because he went into that a little bit in the second post about just in general how complex or simple rotations are is just way less important than the movement that you're doing in the encounter and you responding to the encounter, to the things that the encounter are making you do. And it's definitely worth a read.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so hard to keep up with all the posts these days. What did Celestin say before? It's like 30,000 words, the next one.
Yeah. I mean,
Probably.
Yeah. How many times do you think I've got?
Yeah, I mean, the question is really just, would you rather, have the challenge be in responding to a 2-second proc, or would you rather have the challenge be moving correctly in a very challenging boss fight? So.
Or jumping from train cars.
Thing,
Train cars? Warlords, train cars. We'll see. Yeah, exactly.
Get excited.
I know. So next little question here, totally different. Let's change gears here.
Hey, you've been skipping around these a whole lot here.
Well, no, I'm on two. We're on two now.
I've got a Google Doc. This is very professional.
Now.
Spoiling it.
We're on Luluise on Twitter asks, have you ever tried to RP, roleplay, seriously, and get in touch with all that lovely lore?
Okay, the RP thing, we do a lot of that on Drama Friday, because the RP guys love them to bits. Absolutely love those guys to bits, and they enjoy the game so much more than anybody who doesn't do it. Really do. They do things in the game that just baffle your mind, and they have a blast doing it. So I said I was going to do get involved in a real RP thing. I was going to invest time in it and then produce some content on it and what my experience was really like. And then I felt really bad because these guys were just enjoying themselves. That's all. And I felt like no matter what content I made, people were just going to mock it and rip it down and say how sad and loserish these guys are for doing what they enjoy, while we're all playing WoW all the time. It's like we're all different kinds of nerds, right? Let's get it right. So
yeah, these are the lesser nerds. We are the better nerds.
Oh yeah, no, you come down a rabbit hole, right? So I did it. I went on the roleplay servers. I did it for a couple of days. I spent a couple of days on that, and all I found was people who were genuinely really nice. They weren't creepy or anything once you got past Goldshire, and they were just having a really good time doing what they were doing. And I said on my stream, I was like, I'm not going to make any content on this because I don't think it's fair just to impede on people having fun. So the answer to that question is no. I mean, I'm not an RPer. I don't get that same reaction to it. It's not a case that I can't do it. I just don't enjoy it. Sure. I just don't enjoy it, which is fine. There's loads of things we don't enjoy. But no, I haven't. And the lore, Nobbles here, isn't he? I'll be honest. I only ever read WoW Wiki when a new boss comes out that people seem to know about. I didn't know who Arthas was when Wrath of the Lich King launched. I read it later.
What? No.
Exactly. I never played Warcraft 3 until last year.
My goodness.
That's fair.
But, I mean, I remember back in vanilla times, my friends wanted to roll on an RP server, not because they wanted to RP, but because there were less kiddies and less like cursing. And apparently it was just like a better, nicer community. So even if you had no interest in doing that kind of thing at all, I actually went through a couple of different guilds that chose to roll on RP servers just to have a more positive community around us. So I can understand.
Well, we've built a really good community. We have tons and tons of role players who come and watch the show. And I think it's because it's not mocked. I don't mock it. We look and they tell me the funny stories they got into. And I genuinely felt that way when I was there. I was like, I can't make a video on this because the general audience will find it. And there's going to be people in there who want to tear it apart. And I'm like, nah, these guys are just having fun. What's the problem?
Oh, but YouTube commenters are just such a positive group.
Well,
I'm not blaming them on a whole because we've got some really spectacular fans. But you know what will happen there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Whoa, that bass though.
Whoa, that was thunder. I live in Florida.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was thunder.
Orlando.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, let's hope that your connection stays.
Yeah, hopefully it won't explode here. We should be good to go. Battery backup, please. So, all right, question 3, Anna. Question 3.
I can take the next one here, and this comes from Doser on EU on Defius Brotherhood, and he says, "Preach, what's up with the Furby as the YouTube channel avatar?"
How dare you? That's not a Furby. That's Rambo Gizmo. It's Gizmo. He's not a Furby.
This is the blank look on my face as you have to explain.
Don't know who Gizmo is? No Gremlins?
Gizmo from Gremlins,
Monster? Oh my god.
Clearly I've been living under a rock.
I think I could be wrong here, and the audience probably knows better than me, but we had a tank who refused to stop. You know, a tank who's been told for years and years to go faster, and he was terrible and just died, but he would then run back in and just charge in again and die again. And we based him on Rambo Gizmo from the Gremlins movie. I think his name was Gizmo, so we called him Rambo Gizmo. I think that's where it came from. And we were going to make a T-shirt of it, and that was the logo. I liked it. I love Gizmo. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah, I'll appreciate that from a film standpoint. That's a great movie.
He's a wonderful movie, both of them.
Yes, absolutely. You want to do question number 4 too, Anna?
Yeah, I'll go for it. And this one comes from. See, you gave this one to me so that I could mispronounce it. From it's Darkstar Uzi.
Darkstar Uzi, yeah.
On Argenton. And he says, Preacher, you do a lot of opinion pieces on WoW-related content, and people sometimes disagree with that opinion, causing drama and conflict. What is the biggest or most interesting piece of drama caused by one of your opinion pieces?
I made a video at 3 o'clock in the morning when I was feeling very emotional about WoW. As sad as that sounds, I was feeling very, very emotional about WoW. And it was called The Problem in the Mists. And I went to bed at 3. I woke up again at 6. And it had 200,000 views. And it had gone viral. And it was one of the most universally criticized videos I'd ever made. So that was one of them. I just hated everything Blizzard was telling me about Mr. Pandaria. I absolutely detested it.
Oh, no.
And you can see my audience already knows the video.
Yeah, I see.
Yep.
It was quite famous at the time. It was. I couldn't get away from it. I go on Reddit. It was on the front page. I was going in, I'm a champion, and it was talked about there. And people kept getting relinked to the point where I got a message from the forum admins to tell me to stop spamming my video. I hadn't linked it once. I was like, this is nothing to do with me, right?
Yeah.
I also did another one, which was the apathy of the raiders in WoW, where I did a rogue from level 90 to killing the last boss in Throne of Thunder without ever doing any damage, to prove the point that this shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be possible to do that. And that was quite a controversial one as well. But it was true. It wasn't because I was trying to cause a stir. It should not be possible for anybody to do that. To see the end boss of the game, wouldn't even some sort of version, without doing anything at all. I just stood in the middle of the raid like AFK, and it was fine.
Issue with this?
Oh yeah, people took issue more with the fact that I got a full tier set.
Yeah,
I not only got a full gear, but I got a full 5-piece tier set from doing it as well. It was horrible to produce because I had to keep queuing for the LFR and not do anything. But nobody whispered me, nobody said anything, and it was because people expect that style of play in there, and that shouldn't be the case. People just didn't care. Simple as like, oh, it's just another AFK, and it was like, this shouldn't be the way it is. There's a problem here.
I mean, what really shocks me is not that you did that and had this be a piece that got a lot of views, but that people were commenting and like disagreeing with you and being like, no, this should be a thing. I mean, what was the drama? The drama was people. The end game raiders took drama with it because they should be allowed to do that. Although I don't understand why they would be in LFR. I was like, why are you in LFR? If you're in LFR and you're an end game raider, like, why would you not make it go faster by DPS?
Well, they just wanted to collect Valor points was the usual excuse. And again, the big drama was it shouldn't be up to the WoW community to correct this. And I 50-50 agree with that because I like to help people. So, I don't want to sit back and say, oh, that guy has problems. Because it wasn't a case of, let's look for people who are AFK, really. It was looking for the people who seem to be really struggling or doing something wrong and trying to help them. And I do, as rose-tinted this is, I do remember a time when if somebody was doing something really bad, you would generally help them more than just hate them or try and kick them from your dungeon. And it's just the general attitude of the general player base was very apathetic towards it. Like, it's okay. That's what happens. And a new player, like we talked about earlier, trying to get people into raiding, a new player can play extremely bad to the point where they do nothing. I also did it. I actually got interesting because I took the most damage as well, more than the tanks, which was really hard to do. It was really, really hard to do. So I was a complete burden on the raid. And feel like you've killed the last boss. I felt like it was a problem, so I made a video on it, and that was a big thing.
Nothing has gotten to that level since.
Drama-wise, no, not really. I don't think so. I don't think I've done anything really horrible since.
If we have figured out anything from being this roller coaster this last year now, is that there are some players and people in different parts of the community that are extremely passionate about parts of this game, which is wonderful, as long as it is and continues to be like constructive. Some people will just get like up in arms and get your torch and pitchforks out and come after you like you're Beauty and the Beast. So there are ebbs and flows to how this works, I guess, and what we've seen. So it's wonderful that people love the game so much like that they have this outcry. But you gotta keep it. We're all in this together, right? We're all gamers right now.
We're all after the same thing. I mean, I don't mind people raging, but I was on a big drive at one point for about 6 months. It might have been because I was like LFR'd out. It was really trying to find a way for the game to give people a purpose to get better. And the problem that I had was people don't have a reason to get better. It's not a case that they're not capable or not willing to, but they don't have to. You know what I mean? That was my big issue. Is like they just don't have to. There's no reason to, because raiding sounds horrible to those guys. And I speak to these guys. These are the guys that I've managed to change their opinion. It's not a case I formulated that this person exists. They get in contact with me and talk to me. It's like, why should I raid? And I get emails like that every single day. And they're like, I don't even have to learn this game. I got to level 90 by dribbling on my keyboard, because it's not particularly difficult. And then I managed to kill the last boss. I think I did it in 2 weeks. And I'd gone through all the first LFRs and stuff and then onto there. And it was just like, you need the drive, you need the push to get people to want to get better, to go and see something.
Of course.
And there's a lot of things in WoD that are doing that, which is really cool. I don't agree with removing LFR. LFR serves a purpose, and that's okay.
Well, there's also very little feedback in the game with if you're doing something right or if you're doing it wrong, aside from kill the boss or don't kill the boss. I mean, between that, there's just not a whole lot in the game that is going to teach those players what they should be doing or what they shouldn't be doing. I mean, we all know that we shouldn't AFK on the boss, but I mean, I guess maybe some people don't, because there's nothing that says, right. I mean, or if you're on the boss and you're just like auto attacking him the whole time, there's nothing that says like, oh, maybe in other games you got like a bronze level of completion, or like you didn't get any completion rewards because you didn't deal any damage, or you got a gold level of completion or anything even like that. There's nothing like that in WoW.
Yeah.
Soon, we're going to have to see how the random dungeon grouping with Silver Proving Grounds works in Warlords, because it actually will force a lot of people into that sort of style, and I wonder if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. We'll have to see.
As long as see. People know dispelling, that'll do me.
Yeah.
If dispelling makes a comeback, because it baffles my head that we can still do a 5-man in MOP today after like a year and a half, and people will never dispel ever. Yeah. I don't even know to look for it, and they've probably done some grounds. I love things like that. It's different to just healing and just DPSing. It's dispelling, purging, all that kind of stuff makes you a better player.
All right, another question. I'll take this one.
Okay.
This comes in from. Let me get over here. This comes in from Corestack. Hi, Corestack. Hello. Preach. Out of anything Blizzard has changed or removed, is there anything you would like to see restored that hasn't already been?
Ooh. I was actually genuinely excited that stance dancing might have made a comeback.
Really?
But I might be on my own. Because I thought that was a really fun aspect of the Warrior. I really did. Especially when the stances were, did different things and were really in tune with decisions to be made in the middle of a fight. I really enjoyed stance dancing, and when it left, I was really quite sad that it was all on one bar. Funny story though, Mr. Sko, best tank in the world, did 3 beta pulls on Mr. Pandaria in the wrong stance because the bars hadn't changed for him. And it was the same thing I'd done, but he was really upset that he didn't have enough threat on the boss.
Oh no.
But I loved stance dancing, switching to intercepts, you couldn't charge, you had things you could do in battle stance that you couldn't do in the other stance. I really liked that style of play.
Yeah,
not macro stance dancing like Cataclysm. No, nothing like that.
No, like actually taking the player choice over going to a different stance to do things. I mean, I think when we did our Warrior episode for Mists, all Fury stance really ever did was just like gaming damage to get more rage.
Yeah, exactly. I'm talking, if anybody ever tanked Muru as a prot warrior and did the, what they call the Voidwalker things that came out the wall, stance dancing and being able to maneuver around the room like a pinball was a real exciting part of that fight, and the only exciting part of that fight from as far as I'm concerned. And I loved it. I had to dodge around the middle because you died if you went in there, so I had to find ways to pinball around the room. And having all these different options, but you had to be stance dancing around there to make it work right. I loved that kind of stuff. But I do think that I'm in the minority with it, which is often my case. I tend to have an opinion. I was like, I think I'm in the minority with this one, but it's how I feel.
No, that's great. I mean, a lot of times the negative feedback gets a lot more attention than the positive feedback. So it's good to know that you're excited for something.
Sometimes,
I know chat is bringing up that they don't want to see stance dancing come back if it's just
exactly. I know I'm in the minority with it.
Well, Macro City is the only concern. Like if it was
maybe a lot of the guys have only experienced Cataclysm stance dancing instead of which is a very different ball game. It was really ridiculous.
Alrighty. Well, next question.
Yeah, I got this one. All right, this one comes in from Meals on Argent Dawn, another Argent Dawn player here. And he asks, which is your favorite spell effect in the game?
Oh, Halo. Mob Halo. Not WoD Halo.
Well, okay.
Mob Halo.
So I know this question because I put it in the notes. There was actually a parentheses in this said that instead of Halo.
Instead of Halo, okay.
What? Oh, so unfair. Well, it has to go to the most spectacular.
Obviously, Wild Strike, right? Wild Strike. Wild Strike.
Every time I hear it, it makes me laugh.
Right.
I think it would be a tie between Army of the Dead and definitely Paladins Blowing Wings and Guarding the Ancient Kings at the same time.
Oof.
Oh, don't bring up the Sparkle Pet.
Don't
Anna,
bring
no.
it up.
Oh,
Anna,
gotta
no.
hand it to the Paladins.
Right.
They are a spectacular class.
I'm not
Oh.
saying. I'm not going to say anything.
Compliment
Otherwise,
sandwich.
You're a Paladin?
chat gets all. I mean, the YouTube comments get all over my
Never fear
ass
them.
whenever I talk too much about Paladins. So I'm
Let's
just gonna.
talk about
I'm just gonna
Paladins for the
leave.
next
I'm
hour.
gonna leave that there.
Oh, no.
We'll leave it at your comments and.
Oh.
Yeah, Stellar Flare is quite cool, but I don't think anything beats no matter what you say about the Paladins every time. Well, this time round, not too much, although I haven't seen if they fixed Final Verdict yet. It had no animation last time I did it.
I think
But,
I saw Nobble using it. It's a cool, huge hammer graphic that goes pa-dunk on the mob.
I mean,
it's like
Lights Hammer, Execution
It looks like
Sentence,
Super
they're
Judgment.
all spectacular. It's so good. They're beautiful class.
the new.
Absolutely
Oh
stunning.
god, what seal is it? Seal of Wisdom with the cool book.
Yeah, that
I
is
haven't
cool.
seen
Cool,
that.
awesome Libram book. Oh man, spam
It
that
might
all
be
day.
Seal of Insight. One
Insight,
of them,
Insight,
I think
sorry.
it's
Is it like
Insight.
the Old
It has a
Blessing of
really
Wisdom?
great graphic.
Because that had the book, didn't it? The Old
No,
Blessing.
it's
Yeah,
a totally
Blessing of
new.
Wisdom.
It looks awesome though. I
Yeah, I
spammed
don't
it quite a
remember
bit.
which one it was. I actually really dislike a lot of our spell effects, so I'm glad that you appreciate them.
Oh, I do. But Army of the Dead in itself, I actually made this big case when they said they were removing Army of the Dead. Is Army of the Dead, even if you make it really rubbish damage and it's not worth using, there is a point when you're about to pull a boss on progress and the armies start going up that it really gets me pumped up to go. It's like we're going now, and the army starts coming up. That's a great aspect of the game for me, and it's a wonderful thing about progress ratings when everybody's getting ready and we're all edging, the point you're about to pull. How close can I really get without aggroing and the armies popping out? I love all that spectacle just as you're about to pull. I think
just-
army was a big part of that.
There's nothing sadder than watching the DKs pop army and then having the raid leader go, "Oh nope, gotta hold it for a couple more seconds here. Like somebody didn't click ready, or like we
I have
gotta
raged.
figure something out." It's just the armies are so sad. They're all spread out around people.
All my world firsts were on a DK, and let me tell you, that Ragnaros heroic, the amount of times people were like, no, wait. I was like, I will kill you. We're now waiting 10 minutes.
Yeah, warlocks get that sometimes with their demons as well. So, yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Gonna get to these last two questions before we take our little commercial break here. I got this one because I reformatted some of it. This comes in from Brock on US Gilneas. Let me go down here in the scroll. Yep, number 8. Question is, fans are dying to hear, what class will you main in Warlords, or what are the ones you're most leaning towards based on the changes thus far?
I haven't decided yet because the changes aren't done yet. I hate re-rolling.
True.
So when I pick one, it's one I'm going to stay on. So I need to be sure that the changes and stuff are kind of finished before I decide. But it's still looking towards Rep Paladin. Probably Balanced Druid is definitely in the mix now. Even a Shaman enhancement. I'm loving enhancement right now. Which is going to be a shocker to some people. But yeah.
That'll
Yeah.
be awesome because
I
it
see what
looks
you did there.
like balanced druids are getting a lot of changes if I'm reading these notes correctly, and paladins
They've reworked them entirely. And as soon as I got used to it, I was like, I really like this. I really like what they've done with the Boonkin. And I mean, I've enjoyed playing it. I've leveled it twice now, and both times was great.
sounds good. So it sounds like you'll be interested in a class that got barely any changes, and that would be paladins because they're not changing us very much at all. And then a class
Right.
that got really reworked, which would be boomkins. So it'll be
And then with the melees, it's any class that didn't get slowed down so far. Because I
That
play a
makes sense.
melee traditionally because you're in the thick of the action and it's fast and it's furious and it's interesting and it's going on, and then they slowed it down. I was like, why do I have a weapon in my hand and I can't attack anything? What's going on? I don't like
Why
it.
do I have a weapon
Yeah.
in my hand and I can't see anything?
Yeah, what should I do? Mortal Strike or Colossus Smash? I've got 20 seconds to decide.
20 seconds aside. Well,
This is going to be an
Yeah.
interesting
Less
hit, but God, it's
interesting.
going to hurt.
Oh. So this one will be more for all three of us, and then we'll take our little break here. This comes in from Orgaz.
Oh,
Make
he's the
sure-
Transmog hero.
Is it? Yeah,
He's won our
Orgaz.
Transmog
Terran
competition
Mill.
4 times.
On Terran Mail EU. What would be your top... Oh, I missed it. I missed one.
What are you trying to do?
What would be your top 3 tips for non-raiders wanting to raid? And what would be the top 3 don'ts for Anna Bay and Preach? So Anna first.
Anna first. No, I want to hear what Preach has to say.
Well, I guess we'll go in backwards order then. We'll go Preach, Bay, Anna.
Okay. Top 3 tips for non-raiders wanting to become raiders. Don't be the guy who says I can't find a guild. because it's just not true.
Yeah, it's a buyer's market these days.
Yeah, absolutely. If a non-raider wanting to be a raider, now is the perfect time, because there are raiders who just cannot be bothered raiding anymore and will come back at Warlords. Now's your time to get in there and prove yourself, and they won't get rid of you if you're good. It's as simple as that. And guilds are looking for people right now. Top 3 tips for non-raiders wanting to become raiders. Accept that you really don't know everything, because a lot of people have this mindset like, I'm really good at the game and can't find a guild. You're not. Even that you get to the top, there's always ways to improve, especially if you're a DPSer. DPSer, I believe, is the most difficult thing to master in the game. You really need to constantly learn with that and be prepared to do that. Don't be the ego guy like I was.
Right.
That's the whole point of I told those stories. It's like, I was like that until I met somebody who was so much better than me that I was like so humbled, and I was like, okay, I don't know a lot about this game compared to what is out there. Top 3 don'ts would be like, don't use trade chat or the WoW thing. That's going to end badly. Do your research. Look for a guild that suits you, and don't try and jump ahead of yourself. Don't go, I've never raided, I'm going to look for a heroic raiding guild. That's not going to work. Simple as that. Really, don't. People expect to jump straight into that situation. It would be bad for you. You wouldn't be able to cope with it. It's as simple as that. So look for something that suits you is the best thing. Accept what you can and can't do. And don't lie. Don't be like, I can raid 5 days a week, no problem. 12 hours a day, easy. And you actually can't. And then guilds just kick you, and it's your fault.
I see.
Yeah, I'm with you on a couple of those. I think my first tips for people that want to be raiding and that aren't right now is that like the being humble because you're coming into a new group of people. Don't just instantly start bamming and slamming stuff in guild chat. Like, just take it slow, right? Don't care about loot is a don't, because at first if you're like, oh my god, I want this and I want that and I want these, and you're not gonna last. So that's sort of both. That's tips for new raiders, and don't do this. I also feel like doing your research. There's tons of awesome places out there to find out about A, your class, and B, the fights you're going to be doing with them. Obviously, every guild like tweaks their strategies and stuff like that, which you got to just kind of pick up and learn as you progress with these people, or you raid with them and whatnot. Don't just, I get what Preach said too, don't think you know everything, because there's no way. There's no way you know everything. I mean, I've been playing this game for 9 years, and I'm still like, I can do that? Every time you always find something, little thing, or I could do this a little differently, or whatever. It's evolving and changing. No one ever like knows everything. That's impossible. There's just no way. So that's sort of like all mine rolled in together, I think. So, and then Anna, what yours?
No, I would agree with all you guys. I would reiterate something that was said in chat by Jibber Jabber. Be willing to join in on guild alt runs and other stuff, and just in a general fashion, even if alt runs aren't your thing, if you're joining a new guild, you should really want to spend time with those people outside of raid too. I mean, don't like be too loud or be that guy who's always talking, but like be social and get to know the people that you're raiding with. I would also say the number one most important thing is deal with criticism. Like, I have heard so many people who, if they're told that they're doing something wrong, they get really defensive or they get really upset about it. And it drives me up a wall. And it's the number one reason why I went more and more serious raiding. If just think about someone criticizing you and don't take it personally. Just accept the fact that you make a mistake, because everyone in the game makes a mistake, and that people are going to say it, and it's not meant as a personal insult. The
top guilds never wipe.
They never wipe, of course not. They one-shot everything.
There's no ninja pulls in those top-end guilds.
Yeah.
Those guys are hardcore.
Yeah.
But if you're wiping and it's getting pointed out, it's not a mean thing. It's just like everybody wants to get better thing. So
yeah, I think one thing I didn't say is that accountability, I believe, is a huge word that unless you're like tight-knit with there you go with your people, you need to know. Like, even into this day, you have people that probably every one of you in chat right now, Michael, like, I have that guy or this whatever. If you do something bad and you cause something to go wrong or awry during a pull, and like if you die or you kill someone else or you misplay a mechanic, say that you screwed up immediately. Yep. That makes you look so much better that everyone's going,
yes.
Who did that? Was that you?
Absolutely.
Who just killed? Who did that? Was that?
You can actually stop wipes so many times if you just say that there's a problem about to happen, because
it's also a mental thing. If you yourself tell yourself that you just did this, then it like becomes like a notepad in your brain for this fight that you won't do it again, hopefully, right? And then it makes you. It's just accountability is a huge deal, and I think a lot of people just don't do. Like if you screw up, you're like, oh god, will they find out? I don't know if they will.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything. Oh my god, I'm so scared. Don't do that.
That
Just fess up. Be like, oh, I derped. sorry guys, and they're like, oh okay, you'll move on.
Yeah, people get over it.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I would say is when you've joined a new group, talk to the people who are your same role, especially your same class, about the fights and be like, what do you guys do here? What do you do here? You know, when do you use your cooldowns? Discuss the fights with people. Don't just be that silent
Right.
person who never says anything. If you ask questions, it makes such a better impression. And it's not always the best thing to ask those questions, you know, on vent in the middle of the raid. But if you talk to the other people who are doing the same thing as you and show that you're really interested in optimizing how you're doing the fight, then it makes a great impression. It doesn't make you look like a noob who doesn't know the fight. It makes
No.
you look like someone who's interested in playing better.
It's a good question as well. If you have raided it before, don't assume every guild does the fight the same way.
Right.
Yeah.
I hated that. I hate that. And ask the people who are the same. Ask the melee channel. How do we do this fight? Do we position him here? I always get tanks. I used to, when I recruited a lot of tanks, they would do it their way and the whole guild would be confused and we'd wipe.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah. You said you'd, just talk to your guild. They'll be happy to answer questions because they don't want to wipe either. It's as simple as that. We don't want to wipe. Just ask. It's not making you look a noob.
Yeah, especially if you're like a new raider and you're just getting into raiding and you're doing it probably with a casual group, it just makes a much better social environment if you guys are
course.
all, positively
Plus, it
talking.
gets rid of your nerves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's the mental blocks, the nerves, stuff like that. Just communication is just a lot better in this because it's not just you raiding; it's you plus 9 or you plus soon to be 19. Right now, it's you plus 24, or actually, it could be you plus 29 because of the 30-man stuff. So
Is that going to happen?
Yeah, the 30-man stuff's confirmed. Yeah, as far as I know.
Such hype for bigger raids. I love it.
Just for
That's what I should
just
have answered
for,
that question.
What?
Is there anything removed that I want back? Big raids.
Oh,
I
big
love it.
raids?
Oh,
Big
big raids.
raids.
I love it. I thought I hated it, and then I realized I did love it.
You thought
Because I was part of that team, like, I'm carrying 15 noobs in this raid. I can't wait till we go 25, right? And then you're like...
right.
Oh, it took a week, and now we're recruiting people. They're newbie. Now I'm carrying 15 newbies, but I can't wait till they go 10. And it's like, I love big raids. There's just so much more of an event.
I think that the normal heroic, I think it's an LFR as well, the 30 stuff, the scaling to 30, I think is fine for that content. I believe that Mythic 20-man is like one of the best moves Blizzard's done in a long time. The solo single difficulty is going to be beautiful.
I predicted 15. They were talking about 15 for so long. And I'm fine with it. I get why it's being done. Don't get me wrong. But I just enjoy the big raids. But yeah.
There
It's
are pros
one of
and
those
cons.
things like, I get why it's not happening. I just enjoy
Sure.
them. It's as simple as that.
Sure, there are pros and cons.
So Flex is fine for that. I'm okay with it.
Sure. Yeah, well, I think it's normal heroic. I don't know if LFR is 30, but I could assume that all 3 is.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they've said that they're scaling LFR, that they're scaling Flex up to 30. I know that was under discussion.
Well, there's no flex anymore. It's that LFR, normal, and heroic are all flex. Just the back end, and you can go, I think, 10 to 30 people, unless LFR is still 10 to 25. It's just that you can do normal and heroic are 10 to 30, but because that's like the part you can bring more of your guild, more of your friends, do that kind of stuff. Whereas LFR is still the
fun
queue
of
up
organizing more people. Everyone loves scheduling.
Well,
It's great if you're in the top end because people want to raid there. It's the lower bottom end getting really hurt by big raids where you've got 20 people who don't use vent. They're all running potato PCs but not telling you.
I look forward to doing like big
raiding on the calculator.
the calculator raids.
Which makes me elitist according to my YouTube comments.
That was the joke with one of our guildmates who has a bit of a lesser machine, is that he's raiding from a graphic calculator.
The TI-83 raider.
Yeah, he's raiding from a TI-83.
Yeah.
That was... I'm not going to say who.
Well, we have a little bit more to get into after the break here. I'm going to take a couple of minutes here to tell you guys about some things and do some announcements that you may not have heard about before if you're new to the show. First up, of course, we had an interview with them just last Sunday. Over here, our friends over at SentryTotem.com, which is a huge PvE, a little bit PvP resource, where the biggest thing you can do here is click on this little button called Help Me. Now, the back end of Sentry Totem has tons of amazing, awesome, they're called staff experts. They're either great theory crafters in their respective role or their community, which if you go to the Help Me part of the website, you can submit what's called a ticket or an audit for your character for every single class in the game. Some classes are still working on getting people to be involved in them, but when you submit your ticket, you can submit videos and logs and whatnot and armories, and then you'll be one-on-one time with Magdalena or with Stenhaldi or who else you want to go for in your class that will sit down with you and answer questions, help you with your armory, help you out with your rotations, and especially going into Warlords where so much is changing. Let these guys, let Carrie, do the heavy lifting for you if you have questions about your class, right? You can just submit with them and talk to them. Again, if you want more information to know about Sentry Totem, the episode previous, which is right over here on our YouTube, is where you want to find that out. It's episode 48, both the main and the after show we had with Tickle, who is the creator, and Archim Tyros, the warrior expert. You guys can go check those out here. All of our past episodes are on our YouTube page. The links are down below, of course, to all of our social media and whatnot. We have interviewed every single class and spec in all of Mists of Pandaria. Some, of course, have changed. So, but you can get lots of information from these people. We got the BlizzCon Live right here. We interviewed Duck Sauce a little while ago there. We had our Ian Has a Costas interview. He's the lead game designer on World of Warcraft. We also had, if you're still in the chat room, the Sparkle Dragon himself for a big 6.0 interview there with Zarum. But if you guys want some more Final Boss, there is literally hours and hours, and just as Alex of Fat Boss TV, he missed a novel. Where is he? Right there. There's novel and Silver Latomi. So tons and tons of content for you guys right down there on our YouTube page. So you can go check that out, of course, if you want more. And then, starting soonish, we are going to be, or I am, as along with Noble the Noble, Silver Latomi, and a friend of mine, we are converting a book you may or may not have read into a 10-part machinima, fully animated, fully voice-overed web series. Now, this won't come out until probably fall of 2015, so next year, but War Crimes by Christy Golden, the newest novel for World of Warcraft, which is tying from Mists to Draenor, is being kind of converted and adapted into a machinima series, right? So 10 episodes, all about 20 minutes long. Now, if you out there are a 3D modeler, a voiceover guy or girl, a graphic designer or something like that, then send us an email on FinalBossTV. The little link is right there, because we're looking for more help, of course, with this. If you guys can do any of that, really, like, modelers are the biggest thing we're looking for right now. We have so much to animate and so much to make here. If you want to help us and be a part of War Crimes, then definitely send us an email. The link is right there on our website. Click the little letter button to email us if you have like a portfolio or links to stuff that you've done before, any way you want to help. And if you can't help in that regard, of course, because everything's going to be a huge, long process to put this on the screen for you guys, there's obviously ways you can help us if you want to do it in a monetary fashion. We have a donate button here on our website, where if you donate right now, you also get our awesome wristbands. So we did have a t-shirt thing a while ago. We're also going to have a, it's funny, the DBH popped up here on our website. Oop, wrong button. DBH popped up here on our website. We're going to have our apparel store here soon. Subscribing, of course, to Final Boss TV right here on Twitch can also help us out too, because we're going to be doing so much stuff in the future here for you guys. We also have our first project, which you might have seen spammed in the chat a couple times now, our little music video that's coming out. So we'll see that soon. But we have some questions to talk about here. And what's going on? You okay, Preach? What's happening?
Preach is like losing it over there.
Yeah, what happened? You good?
Celestalon just got ghosted. It's the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, what happened?
Celestalon asked who Ghost was, so the obvious reply was, who's Celestalon? Beautiful.
Oh, no!
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Who's
Excellent.
Celestalon? I don't know who that is either. Who's that? Is that someone we should...
I actually don't really know. He has no idea who he is. It's brilliant.
No?
Yeah.
That's fair. All right.
It's fair. It's fair. It wasn't intentional.
Good
No, he
job.
just
Good
doesn't
job.
know.
Good job, Ghost. Good job. Good job. All right, we have a couple more topics to get into here. This is like what we're going to call the drama time of the show. Now, there's a bunch we can talk about here. I think we'll have to move some to the after show, or some of this could be really quick talk, but a little more of the touchy topics here. If oh gosh, there's the there's the llama. That's
I came prepared, my friend.
you
Llama,
came
llama.
prepared. Anna, you want to take the first one? I'll take the second one because that's my big passion there. You take the first one.
Excellent. So, guild leveling removed. Is the game becoming more casual? Quote,
What does
unquote.
that have to do with casual?
That's what I wanted to know.
That's what I said.
But apparently this is the drama.
I call shenanigans on this whole
That's the
question.
drama, right?
I know. You guys, I know. Fast track. Games becoming more casual. Or what is the cash flow?
Is
Removal
it the end of
ca-
cesspool guilds? I'm fine.
Yeah, I
with it.
know. Removing. Exactly.
Like, nothing kills new players other than them cesspool guilds.
Well, my impression is with this stuff, assuming that these topics are aimed at all of us, is that most of those guild leveling perks are being baked into the game.
Yeah, they're
So-
baseline.
Yeah, they're being baked in baseline. With the exception of some, like cash flow is specifically being removed to counter that experience of having a new level 1 and getting completely spammed with guild invites.
Correct,
And just,
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very, very negative.
Now, there'll still be ways that your guild can make money with the scenarios and battlegrounds and dungeons and raids, stuff like that. That will probably change a little bit to add a little more money outside of
Yeah.
the cash flow being removed, because that's player choice. That's guild interaction. That's how you guys make money together if you need, of course. Also, BOE gear is coming back too, so top-end guilds can sell BOEs from raids, as far as I know.
Oh,
That was
BOE
talked about.
farming run.
Yeah!
Yeah, exactly.
Farm that heroic for them BOEs. So,
Hey, I've seen those trade chat runs get together to farm for BOEs, and it can be a good way to see people on your server if you want to do those things. I never joined them.
No. I just
So I'm
want
gonna-
Firelands BOEs.
oh, those runs.
You want
I
to come
remember
and
doing
farm
those.
trash? No.
The trash farming
No,
run?
no.
It's so much fun. It's just like,
They made so much gold. It was joy for a lot of players.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to take it from your response to that you're on the same page that we seem to be, which is, what? So
Yeah, I don't care.
What? What?
If they took it away, brought it back, made it do a dance, I wouldn't care.
I don't
Exactly.
think it matters. I think it's actually healthy because it also removes the barrier to leave and enter new guilds. Because the one of the terriblest things when you're a new person is like, I have to grind my guild reputation? How the hell do I do that?
Grind
that-
guild reputation.
And that
I have
takes
to do
freaking...
stuff with my guild? Whoa!
Right.
I'm
but-
all over it. I'm logging in day and night. Let's get
Exactly. See? Like,
Did anyone really grind guild reputation? Is that the thing?
Some people... But again, outside of...
Whoa,
our
I
little-
needed
it
that
just has to
pet.
be online.
I know, that pet...
I needed that pet. That
Mm-hmm.
special mount.
Yeah, the special mount. So, I don't know. I think there are obviously pros and cons to it, but I think it really doesn't even matter. I think it's going to be smoother on just guilds in the first place. We're still going to get mass res and
It's great for new players.
You know,
That mass summon though. That mass summon. Celestial on, please.
no, I don't think it's going to happen. They want warlocks to do that kind of crap. So, waiting until we hear something official before believing anything about the console port. Oh, that's something totally different. Celestalon's
Oh god,
quelling.
yeah. The ability
love that
previews
we-
for console pads, guys. Get
Yeah,
hype
it
on the
totally
train.
is. Absolutely, because
Okay.
they're making it on a controller.
Does this look normal to you? Whelps, handle it.
Yeah,
No.
that happens though. in
this
Final
doesn't work,
Fantasy
guys, I'm
14.
telling you,
It is
look.
a thing. It
No.
is a thing.
Oh,
You
Res is
can
broke.
play Final Fantasy 14 and Raid with a controller.
But that game was built to be played on a console.
I knew a guy who played with
So-
click to move. Click to
Yeah.
move, and he was a tank. It happened. That doesn't make it right. You can drive a car
know
with
it
your feet
doesn't.
if you want to.
Right.
I know it doesn't make it the right way. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, this is just the console port of WoW. Just makes me wonder, like, what is the wildest, complete bullshit rumor I can come up with and spread to all of my Twitter followers and all of the watchers of the show, and just like hide it in there and just like spread this misinformation and see how far it goes. That's what I feel about the console port of WoW.
Personally, I was like, I don't even care, because if you're gonna play it on a console, you need a keyboard mouse, which you can buy. I would assume if that became a thing, you can buy a keyboard mouse and stuff. So I just don't know why it would matter. More people can play the game then. Oh no.
I hope I can PvP against them, right?
Yeah.
Sure, play with your little controller. We'll see what happens.
Well, I don't know if you could use a controller at all. I think that would be really weird if you could. So
I hope. It's a lie, isn't it? Forget it.
As long as they're in
it's
different
not true. I don't think it's gonna be true, but I'm just saying, like, people like freak out. So I don't think. Yeah. Hey, Dance Studio, bring up Dance Studio. There is a dance studio in your garrison. Maybe.
Sure.
Maybe.
I feel like we can probably move along to the next.
Yeah, no, the next little piece of drama was Warforged gear. Now, when I first started thinking about the game squish, which is the next little topic we'll get into, they kind of go inside. The whole point about pushing everything back together and removing zeros is to create healthier damage patterns, which are the HP changes and stuff like that. And then, of course, the damage numbers can't fit in the 32-bit client, and unless they upgrade to 64-bit, they can't go any higher on numbers, 'cause it would break the game. That's just math. Now, Warforged gear sort of exacerbates and accelerates the whole point of we have 5 eye levels of gear every raid tier. So, like, why do we need that? That's gonna just push us back to needing a game squish next expansion? Like, I don't know what do we need Warforged gear? Like, I think it's neat, but I think combining Warforged gear with tertiary stats and random gem sockets, it looks like Diablo 3 loot in World of Warcraft.
I remember the tweet I went out about the tertiary randomness, and I was told, no, it'll be fine. I don't believe that at all. In terms of Warforged gear, I like it in one way. I don't think it should exist for Mythic at all, because that is the hardest possible way of killing that boss.
Right.
And that should be it. If I've killed it in the most difficult way in the game, I don't expect to be disappointed in the reward I get for it. In terms of the normal and heroic stuff, I'm fine with it if it even has the potential to give those guys confidence in some way to try something a little bit harder. I'm okay with it there. Like, I don't care about that stuff.
I see Warforged gear in the new 5-mans, right? If that's a real thing, I think that's fine. Warforged gear in normal heroic raids, go for it. If it's a little bit of a boost. But
doesn't need to exist at Mythic.
In Mythic raiding, it shouldn't be there, because if you, I agree with you completely. If you kill a boss in the hardest difficulty, why should you have to RNG wait for a better version of the same drop off the same boss you already killed?
Exactly. Even if it does nothing, fine in the normal and heroic. But if there's even an ounce of incentive there for those guys to say, you know, we've got a lot of Warforged gear, maybe we should try doing something a little bit harder.
Exactly.
Cool. And that's okay. That's brilliant. That's a little push, like we were talking about earlier, a little push, a little incentive, a little, let's go and try something a little bit harder because we've got this Warforged stuff now, right? But in Mythic, it has no reason to exist whatsoever. And I would hate the idea, especially I think I waited for my tank boots in Black Temple for 4 months. And if they did eventually drop and they were the normal version or just the heroic version, I'd just be, I'm out of the game. Forget it. I'm just, you know, I'm not interested enough to wait, to be disappointed in my reward for doing this boss on its hardest possible setting.
Yeah, exactly. The reward for killing out the hardest possible setting is the gear he drops, not the chance. Not the chance to get something a little bit better. I don't think that should exist for Mythic raiding.
Well, the whole purpose, I mean, it came with a statement, didn't it? If I remember correctly, and I might be misquoting it, but the purpose of Warforged is that some people really struggle, some guilds, to kill a later boss, and they have the whole instance on farm, and they're still struggling on a certain boss. So this gives them slightly more chance of overall progression. If they're still farming those bosses, there's still a reason to go there. They're not going to be gear capped. I don't really agree with that, and certainly not for Mythic, because I've rarely seen that happen in Mythic where it wasn't actually a mechanical issue rather than gear, except maybe Spine of Deathwing first week.
Top guilds kill stuff in blues.
Exactly. I've been there. I did this stuff, and it's not a case of that for Mythic. In the earlier stuff where people are still learning the game and making tons of mistakes and picking up little habits, fine, give them a boosted gear level. But I have no idea why it exists in the end game. It doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, the end game. I like that phrasing, the end game.
The end game.
Yeah.
You guys are so angry about it.
We're passionate about it.
This is like,
I have missed so many drops. I've waited so long for a certain drop, and then when it comes, I do not want to look at it and go, God damn it.
Exactly.
See, I don't understand this mindset. I feel like the problem isn't with Warforged gear, it's with this mindset of being like, God damn it, when the not Warforged piece drops. Maybe this is like the one topic on which I'm not rageful, and Bay is very rageful. I have no real preference. I liked Warforged.
I hate farm raids, so the idea that I have to farm a boss, because the only reason I've never cared about
MMOs
gear
are.
at all.
I
hate that.
Yeah.
I really dislike that. I can't stand it. Once we kill the boss, I am more than happy not to kill it again. But I understand I need gear for the next tier.
Sure.
That's fine. I need gear for the next tier. What I don't want to be doing is farming a boss over and over again for the same item that's slightly different. I've waited for my drop. I've killed the boss on its hardest possible setting. There is no more effort I can put into this encounter at all. And I just don't see the reason for it to exist at that level. To give other people a push and more confidence, fine. But in Mythic, I don't think it needs to be there.
Maybe it was just not very difficult to get Warforged gear. I mean, because
for 25-mans.
The percentage was so high in 25-man raids, and we ended up killing stuff on heroic so quickly, especially in the last tier, that it just wasn't that big of a pain.
But that's also...
we got lots of gear. Like, it was there.
But then, so why does it exist?
Yeah, why does it exist? Because in the heroic mindset, if it's not Warforged, it's trash.
That's how it is.
That's how it is, and it always has been that. But it's not the perfect. If there's 2 pairs of boots in an instance, and I get the one that's not best in slot, it's trash. Throw it in the bin. I don't want it. I'm not wasting points in it or whatever system where I don't want to roll in it. I don't want the council to decide on it. I just don't want it to be anywhere near my face or in and around my area. Get rid of it. It's trash.
In and around my area. Get out of my bubble.
Exactly.
Maybe I just thought it was exciting to get the one version and then the other version. I mean, I don't know, but
double the excitement, double your fun. Woohoo!
Yeah, well, I mean, but that's the way it was. Like, I would get that. Obviously, Warforged was like a really big deal on weapons and trinkets and stuff, and it's like, okay, I got the normal version. Okay, like 2 weeks later, I got the Warforged version. But I also had very little competition for my loot, and like I said, we killed stuff pretty quickly. So it didn't...
there's also the argument that it accelerates different damage patterns for certain guilds that get better RNG on more Warforged before other guilds.
That's the only argument that I think
that's a bad thing for gameplay.
I really don't think the, oh my God, it's trash if it's not Warforged really makes a lot of sense. But I think the argument that holds water is that it's really not fair if Guild A gets the Warforged trinket and Guild B does not. I think
Exactly.
Warforged, I absolutely don't think that Warforged should be on weapons and trinkets. Like that's in the scheme of argument places where people have on this topic. I'm in the camp of people that thinks that Warforged is fine, but shouldn't be on weapons and trinkets. So
Yeah, there's just too many little back-end things that make me wonder about it, because also the eye level acceleration thing is definitely there, because you got to start the next tier at somewhere in the eye level that Warforged gear actually gets upgraded past in some way. Like, I don't know if that'll be heroic or if it'll just be the start of the next mythic tier. But then why it's a weird eye level jump when your upgrade has to be like the mythic of the next, that there's no point to get the gear from the heroic, which I guess you'd have to do the heroic to the mythic, but we don't know that yet. So I just think there's too many little cons to it. If Blizzard wants to remove the BIS list mindset, that's fine. But I think putting it in RNG on RNG is not the best way to do it.
yeah, I mean, in the scheme of things, like removing the BIS mindset, I would say random proccing a socket on something really annoys me more in the tertiary stats than Warforged really ever did. But
that's the whole point. They're all together. So you get a gem socket, but on a Warforged piece, the gem socket doesn't proc, so you get Warforged with your tertiaries you want, but no gem socket. That still means you need a Warforged gem socketed tertiary piece to be like your best.
But
And that's like Diablo loot.
what if your tertiary is sturdiness, and therefore
Then you're good to go, right?
yeah,
you're good
really,
to go,
then you
right?
got
I
everything
mean,
you need.
Who
I
cares?
want
The perfect
Warforged,
item.
no sockets, sturdiness maximum. Okay,
Yeah.
and but how trash is that going to be when that stuff drops now? It's like,
Ah,
great,
yeah.
I got the sturdiness one instead of versatility or whatever.
I mean, the question is
Yeah.
is it better than the one that you have on? I mean, if the randomization is so wide, and this is the problem that I've seen in other games that have implemented randomization, if the randomization is so wide that the higher level item, if it procs bad stats, is worse than the items from the tier before, then I think that feels really bad. I mean, the
Yeah.
question for
Doesn't
me,
it feel hypocritical?
yeah.
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, that's it.
No, it's what were you gonna say? Go ahead.
There was a big move last expansion that an upgrade is an upgrade, and you shouldn't need to look at math, look at numbers. You shouldn't have to do all this stuff. We shouldn't have to go to Elitist Jerks and get all these stat breakdowns and plug stuff in a spreadsheet when an item drops. And now we're looking at maybe with the RNG element of it, is like, is this better for me? Is it not? I don't know. And like,
Should always be better.
it seems very backwards, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, with removing of Warforging, or with reforging, I think is fair. And I think if item upgrades never come back, that'd be totally fine. But now that you have to just take the...
Item upgrades should never come back. If there's anything that makes me
yeah.
angry about changed eye levels, that's it. That's where my rage is. I never want to see eye level
No,
upgrades.
that was an experiment, and they kind of did it because we needed something to do with our valor. That's fine. Don't bring that back. But I think if you have to wait for all these different I mean, I think Celestion talked about it on an interview, is the white whale syndrome. But I think that for lots of people, chat room included, with the two-person split here with Preach and myself, lots of people care about this. And I think they don't like that random loot dropping, because if you can't change anything on it and your gem sockets aren't confirmed outside of maybe certain pieces, then is it an upgrade? Do I want this? Maybe? No. And that's harder than it is now, where it's like, I can take this, turn this stat into something else, and gem it this way, and it's okay, it's still good. That's gone in Warlords.
I mean, it's one of those things that we're also going to have to see. It's for me,
Sure, of course.
It's how much randomization is there. If it's too wide a range of randomization, it's going to feel really bad. But if it's a really small range of randomization, then it could be okay. And so I really want to see how it plays out in their plans for the next expansion before I really formulate a very passionate opinion on it.
Like, I think if they want to keep Warforged in for like dungeons and normal heroic and stuff like that, and everything in the first, like in tier 17, and then realize that, like, oh, this is actually like, pfft, that's great. Like, take it away for 18, 19, I'll be okay with that. Like, I think that we're gonna have a huge like wall to push through at the beginning of Warlords to like learn all the new systems and the different raids, and none of them have lockouts. And do we do normal, heroic, and mythic? And when we knock out normal, do we need the trinkets from here? All this kind of stuff. We'll have to figure that all out. But I just think it'd be easier on the item design team and the game squish people, the back end, to like not have to worry about another island level worth of gear. Like the pushing your game forward faster back to needing to squish again. So we'll see. We'll see. And I guess that brings up the game squish. Did you have anything you wanted to really talk about with the game squish, Preach, or we want to move on to your rant? Your little bit of a rant here.
I'm ranting?
Well, not really, but
I can rant if you want to. I don't mind.
I wanted to bring
I
up.
get your-
We talk about putting the new game models, and then you had
Oh right, yeah.
the
okay.
new game models.
The item squish, I felt it needed to come for a long time. I
course.
think the DPS is fine. It could have been. I would have been happy being a little bit lower, but not everybody would have been a bit unhappy with that. The health wing was a surprise, but I'm not concerned about it. Do you know what I mean? There was a big uproar about health's really high on tanks and stuff. I mean, does it appear that we're going back to the point which I like, where tanks have way more health than the raid? And we got to a time where, there was not that huge a gap going on there compared to what we've seen in previous expansions. But overall, it's a start, is what I'd say. The game squish is fine. It needed to happen. Numbers were getting a little bit crazy. And I'm okay with where it is so far. I haven't got a problem with it.
Yeah, I think
I'm
it's
indifferent towards it, I guess I would say. I'm rather indifferent towards it.
Yeah, I think HP has to be high because I really want to see if healthy damage patterns finally happen. They've said it for 3 expansions now where tanks will not be alive or dead.
Yeah.
So I hope with the HP for them and the healing changes and all the different survivability that tanks have, I hope it's a actual gameplay that tanks can actually be at 50% health and not be like, the next swing's gonna kill me, help! I hope that happens because that makes tanks feel like I can take hits, not just like 2 and them dead.
Yeah, I just genuinely care about that damage meter being in a straight line. That's it. I don't care
Yeah.
what the number is. If it's 1,000,000 DPS or 100k DPS, I'm not bothered.
There you
if
go.
it's a straight line, done. Don't care. But I have my numbers switched off, so I'm that guy.
It's very difficult to judge how tank damage is going to feel when almost all of the tanks have broken mitigation right now.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Blood GKs.
You said it.
100% uptime on the warrior mitigation as well.
Yeah, a little bit there.
We'll
A little
see.
bit there. We'll see.
Needs more PvE testing.
It does. We need PvE gear, I think, too, because testing like dungeons with PvP gear is like, you don't know how it's going to be. So, new game models. Anything on that, Preach? Before we get to like the last big sort of drama topic.
You
Yeah,
made
what do
Billy
you
up now like a thing.
I
but,
know.
I like everything except the Tauren. How's that?
That's what I wanted you to see. Everything with the Tauren, huh?
The Tauren, when I saw that Tauren dance for the first time, and it was only because I felt so much love towards my Tauren warrior back in the day. It really disappointed me to the point where I switched it off. That was it. It was done.
Yeah, I saw you do that the other day on your stream. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it shocked me. But we have to remember something. A lot of us forget this. It's a game for 11 plus. Do you know what I mean? It's a game for 11 plus. So some things do have a childish look about it, and there's a reason that happens. So I understand why it exists. I just don't like it. It's as simple as that. It's just an opinion.
Right.
And everything else, like the undead one, actually my comment on it would be I like how little they've changed. Everything still has the same feel. Undead still plays and animates the same it used to, which I really liked. And the updates are just enough to make it look newer without changing the core of it, and I really like that.
No, absolutely. I've actually said it multiple times on the live stream that I'm really hyped and want to see the undead female and undead, not undead, but female troll models. So those are like the derpiest models in the game and have been for the longest time. Like they just look, puh.
Oh, female orc looked pretty bad.
Female orc compared to female troll, though, female orc any day of the week. But female troll right now is a little rough. I want to see what the new model looks like, and then female undead. But those are just my soft spots, I suppose. But everything else looks great. I think orcs look amazing right now. Like holy crap! And I think if they're actually, I have the post right here. Actually, I brought that up on purpose. So Chris Robinson actually confirmed that they are definitely subject to change. They want to they're fine tuning each of the faces now, which is altering the base pose to be more closely match original structure and emotion. So they are adjusting eyebrows as well as eye color, lip color, mouth shape, etc. Because right now everyone's like the same face is plaguing the new models. So I feel like they want to make all the models and then go back and then tweak faces because there needs to be something done there. But they're doing it, all right?
And they have that new technology to make moving faces. I mean, that was part of the whole model redo is that they now have like lots of different points on the jaw and such that they can use to make lots of different facial expressions.
Them bones, though.
We've only seen a little bit of it right now. They have the power to do a lot more.
Absolutely. So people were freaking out about like the whole, is my night elf gonna look the same on every character I play? It's they want to make more of it. And of course, if they want to change more and add different faces later on, they obviously could. Because like Worgen and Goblin are coming later on. Especially female Worgen, which everyone's like outcried about, which is coming. It's just gonna be patched in. So
is there an outcry?
Well, I think for
Is
Worgen,
there an outcry? Do you really need to ask that with any major?
With everything.
Of course, there's an outcry.
Right, yeah.
Well, I find your answer to be really interesting because I feel like it definitely illustrates why they were so nervous about changing the models. Because, the way that you talked about that the one model was that you knew, that not every single one of them was going to be a model that everyone is going to love. And well, one just happened to be a model that's not really your thing. And that's the danger with them changing any of these models is that no matter how much they try to keep them to be the same as they were before, there's going to be some changes that really turn people off of a race that they've played for a long time.
Yeah.
So I happen to like all of the ones that I've seen. I think the
Sure.
female night elf actually looks great, and I've hated the night elves forever, so I'm actually considering playing a female night elf for the first time ever.
Really?
Because I think they look okay for the first time.
They gotta fix that unibrow on the texture mesh behind the eyebrows, but that's the only thing wrong with them right now. But that's coming. They'll fix it.
Yeah, they'll fix it.
All right, Anna, you bring up this last one, because I don't know what your stance
the last
is.
topic.
Again, this is back to like the whole console thing. Like I'm just like.
All right, so
bring it up.
So capital cities. Let's talk about those. At BlizzCon, we were shown images of specifically Karabor, and it looked to all of us like Karabor was going to be our Alliance capital city and Bladespire for the Horde. And it broke on Mumper's Twitter a couple days ago that actually our capital cities are going to be, they're going to be like staging areas outside of Ashran. And this was something that really irked a lot of people who felt as though they were really excited about something that, was just ended up fizzling out and being a whole lot less exciting. So was this something that you cared about at all, or were you just like, meh?
You mean me?
Yeah.
Yes, you, sir.
Yeah. I've talked about this a few times now, is that one of the biggest things that's excited me about WoD is I feel like I'm Horde or I feel like I'm Alliance again. And I really didn't feel like that at all in Mr. Pandaria. It was all mishmashed together. It certainly wasn't a world that had any reflection of the factions at all.
Right.
So I really like that Frostfire Ridge is clearly Horde. There's no doubt about it. It's got the Horde feel through and through. The same with Shadowmoon Valley. And the cities, really, I was kind of excited to have a new kind of faction-based city in a way. The Orgrimmar, the best cities in the game, I think, are Orgrimmar, Ironforge, Stormwind, that have these real classic feel and hopefully doing something about that.
Right.
The loss of... Well, I was excited for that. My only response to there being the staging area thing in Ashran is that I will no doubt feel how I do about the Shrine of the Two Moons, which is just indifferent. I just don't care. They don't mean anything to me. I'm not excited to be there. They're just a place where there's a portal. And cities tend not to have that feel. Like a real, a city, not Exodar, where nobody goes. I'm just talking about, Ironforge and Stormwind are a place where you're the Alliance and you're there and it's kind of cool and it feels like a home almost for your character. Shrine of the Two Moons was just a portal place, and I feel like staging areas are probably going to be a portal place, and I won't feel disappointed. I just won't care, and that's kind of sad. I didn't want to not care. I would like to have been excited about it. That was my feeling on it.
I mean, go ahead, Anna.
No, I mean, I think that's a really good way to express your opinion on it. It's not like, oh, you're really upset about it. It's just the difference is, do you care, or is it something that you're not really connected to? And that's I think the core problem is that it's something that people thought they would connect to, and we missed that a little bit. So
Yeah.
I do. I just think it'll be a place where we fly from our garrison to our portal. Hey.
Yeah, I don't think
To the auction house.
I had the Disney kind of defense to this, that I hope that there are reasons to go to Bladespire and to Karabor. Like if there are like quests or like maybe a hub for daily, stuff like that, something that brings you back there, so it's like, ooh, I'm here again. Like it looks awesome. And if you live there all the time, you might just eventually get like droll syndrome. Like how many times do you go to Stormwind and go like, oh my god, everything looks amazing? Like you eventually get kind of like complacent with it. It's it's just kind of like you always are. So I hope they bring us back to go to them. Like if we actually have reasons to go there, that's wonderful. But I think if there's no reason we go there other than to run by and be like, that's fine. I also the other thing too is that we're going to be in our garrison a lot, or they want us to be in our garrison a lot. So that's maybe why they didn't really do a whole lot with making them huge capital cities on Draenor, because we have our own city in the game technically, our own little like plot of land. But we'll have to see if people really stay in their garrisons a lot. I know Anna's going to just live in her garrison, right, Anna? Just going to live in there.
Definitely.
They can't be training dummies in there, can they? Otherwise, we'll never leave.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it really depends on how on how the new zones feel. I know that
Right.
the Blues did release some images. You know, there was this YouTube video of, oh, here's where the staging areas are, and it was really ugly. And then there was some new information released that said, no, look, it's going to look more like this. And they had a lot more character to them, a lot more Horde and Alliance type character. So I'm really hoping. I mean, my number one problem with this was not necessarily the news, but I felt like the way it was messaged was really bad, especially because the Blues afterwards started complaining about promises and just basically writing off everyone who was mad. And it was like, guys, we didn't promise anything. And I'm sitting there like, no, you know, people are actually, you know, complaining in a pretty reasonable manner about this, and you guys are just freaking out in response.
Yeah.
I really thought
I
that
didn't
if they
like the
were-
lore answer, is what I'd say there. Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, we want our own plot line. I didn't like that. It didn't make sense to me at all. It's like, if there's, you know, we're helping each other, it would make sense that we would be together.
No.
And we had a discussion as well, is why are we fighting the Alliance in Draenor? Why does Astran exist? I don't know. Is there going to be an explanation as to why we went back in time to defeat a common foe and then decided to set up a battleground in the middle of it?
That's
Yeah.
that's the novel defense. Is why are we even fighting each other again? We literally start the Tanan jungle together,
Yeah, it's
saving
remember,
each
like,
other.
oh, this is my boat. Oh, your boat's
And then all of a sudden they're like, that's mine. No, that's mine. I got what's gonna happen. So my other also defense is that what if something happens down the road in a content patch where we then have to move and pick up and go to those cities, and they want it to be more epic. So maybe
I hope so.
eventually
That would be great.
Karabor and Bladespire become our capitals in the future because of a story plot. That would be great. That would be cool. Scenario leads us into that. We have to because Ashran, our places get whatever. You know, the Iron Horde destroys them or whatever. That would be a thing, possibly. And Chad, I'll give you one. You're talking about the training dummies in your garrisons real quick before we get out of here. Can we get healing and tanking dummies and maybe a choice based on the person playing their garrison, which to put in their garrison?
Are we really going to get dummies in the garrison?
I hope so.
Well, he said it's a neat
You
idea.
really hope so? The
He
world
said
would
it's a
be
neat
empty.
idea. And I think that having
wow,
healing
really?
healing
Shocked at that.
dummies and tanky dummies haven't existed in forever, and I think that
Raid buff dummies too.
or
Raid
raid buff
buff
dummies. Yeah, if people in the beta right now playing and like testing on them, I think it's amazing because you can't test healing. I can heal myself and I'm full health, but healing a dummy and like seeing spells and what heals for and how you can interact with things when people actually have a deficit in health. Let's see that. And then you can
Genuinely
choose
shocked.
which one you put in your garrison. If you're a tank and you have your garrison, you put a tanky dummy. If you're a DPS, put a DPS dummy.
He says there are healing and tanking dummies in Shatrath on beta. They're
Well,
an
that's what I'm
experiment
talking
in
about,
how
yeah.
well they work.
Yeah, I think that if that works and you guys can figure out how to make them not chase you, then I think it'd be wonderful to put in the game. I think healers and tanks for a long time have been like, I can't test myself outside of raids unless I go do something. But right now DPS can, so that would be nice. That would be nice. Just a little nugget there for you, sir. Little nugget, little bit for you there. I think it is button time, though. I
Okay.
think it is button time. That means the music is coming. There it is. Sir, it's been an amazing show with you today here. We still have a little bit more after show, but for the main show proper, I think we got into enough drama and everything else. Preach.
I had fun.
It was
It's got
awesome.
really cold in here, though, hasn't it?
Is it really?
Freezing.
But
Yeah,
again,
that was good fun.
you guys can go follow Preach on Twitter at PreachGaming. Of course, where he'll post when he's live streaming, and his YouTube and stuff like that is all there. And of course, I'll link all of his socials in the YouTube VOD. Does Ghost want to wave goodbye? Or
Gonna wave goodbye, big fella. Come and wave goodbye to the people.
There he is.
That's the team right there.
There he is.
Peace out, mate. Top shelf.
Eiffel Tower.
You guys were awesome. Thank you again, sir. Super, super fun.
No problem.
And of course, the Love Coast of Final Boss TV is over on Twitter as well, at NFL. You can go
At
follow.
Anfield, yes.
Lately,
Come
it's
follow.
been a different MMO tweets has been plaguing your Twitter.
Yes, it is. You know, you guys who come follow me, just expect to see. I used to split up real life stuff and WoW stuff, and people who have Twitter accounts know what I'm talking about. But, you know, sometimes it just makes a lot more sense just to talk about whatever it is I'm doing all on the same account. So
Yeah,
you'll
that's
see
fine.
some games that aren't WoW. Probably a lot of it.
Maybe right now, anyway, until Warlords comes out, right?
Well, until there's more to test on the beta. I'm looking
That's true,
forward
too.
to seeing more PvE content.
Absolutely. And then, of course, all of my social stuff outside of being on the website is over on BayTLM on Twitch. I stream here to this channel for beta coverage, and I will be doing all the raiding and stuff with my guild on the Final Boss TV channel. So only World of Warcraft is on this channel, though. All my other funny, weird stuff is on my personal one, but all my socials there as well, too. And, of course, all the Final Boss TV socials right below, our Facebook, our Twitter, our YouTube, where we have all of our past episodes. Speaking of past episodes, next Sunday, there may be a live stream, but there is no show proper because we are setting up for rounds number 3 and 4 of something you may have seen the first time we were around. It's a little bit of this WoW Trivial Pursuit here, right here, with Alex and Laws of Fat Boss and this guy named Brutal Static,
Pursuit, really? That's
and
awesome.
Silver Latomi, and Elvon the Gold Making Mage, and then of course this cute guy over here, Noble the Noble. So rounds 3 and 4 are coming. That is July 20th. No show the 13th, and then July 20th is Trivial Pursuit rounds 3 and 4. Make sure you mark your calendar for that. And if you've missed the previous episodes to see like what the show is about and how the show is conducted and the overlay and how cool it looks, that's on the YouTube, rounds 1 and 2. Super fun. I carry you, Brutal, even though, yeah, man. But we'll see you guys for the 20th for WoW Trivial Pursuit. And maybe for the live streaming, of course, this week when I'm doing the beta coverage and things. We'll see you in the YouTube comments. Thank you guys very much for watching. Stick around for the after show if you have some more questions, but if not, we will see you guys later. Have fun this week at work. Trust in the coin if you're still raiding. And until then, guys, bye-bye. 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 Wave bye. Preach. Say bye. 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 There it is.
Salute for the ladies.